Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but mans keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
All right, we back to the Dan Le Batard Show. Sans Dan's, me and your boy Hawk in the building. We had a couple changes to the shipping container. Jessica's not here today. Roy's not here today. But for game 2, we're bringing a big dog in.
Yeah, we need it.
One of everyone's favorites. Look at him, locked in with the glasses on. There you go, a chest pound from Billy Gill. What up, Billy? Welcome to the show, buddy.
With his own intro music.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, we got to flush. We 24-hour rule. We flushed game 1. We're on to game 2. We came to get a split. Let's get a split. We need Big Dog Billy in the building to get the split.
How was game 1? Because I just said, I saw you guys had Keenan.
We got to flush. We got to flush game 1.
We got to review the
So 24 hours. We already reviewed it. I reviewed the film last night.
Not technically 24 hours. It's like 21 right now.
But just the 24-hour rule is what it's called.
Okay.
I mean, even though it's not 24. I mean, we could go through it if you want to. I reviewed the tape.
I think Billy needs context so that he knows what to bring to game 2.
So first of all, before we get to that, at some point we're going to get into some draft stuff today. We're going to refresh the Uber ratings because we got the Big T's. We got a means rating, guys. Get ready. So we're going to update that at some point. I got a story for you guys about my racist cat. All this is going to happen. We're also going to discuss the tournament and the Tush Push rule. But before we do that, this is the last. We do the little film session right now. This is the last time we talk about it. If you want to go into it, my assessment of yesterday's show was we got off to a good start. We were great. We got a big lead.
Great start.
We were feeling good. And then they brought out a defense that I wasn't ready for. And as the point guard, I got flustered by the defense. It's like, what are we doing? Guess? Uh-oh.
Like
turnover.
Yes.
They were ugly turnovers.
We didn't take a timeout. We didn't regroup. We didn't, huddle up. Yeah. Nothing. It was, if you can't stop the opposition from scoring, take the timeout, coach.
Yeah.
That is like coaching 101. You don't just let it continue.
As we discussed yesterday on the Dominique Foxworth show, me and Charlie have a thing where we say accountability plays. And you have to be very accountable when you mess up. And I accept that yesterday I was full of myself. I parachuted in. And we got off to a great start. I thought Chris was balling. We did the intros. We had some good topics. We was laughing. We had that thread of Leroy. You hooked us up with that. We was going. I was like, man, I'm in this. This is easy. Hit it to my man in the corner. Hit a wide open 3. Bang. Fast break. Ooh, great defense. Rebound. And then they started throwing guess at me. And I was like, oh, no. What's happening?
Steve Williams, could you beat pro golfers?
Oh, wait, hey. That's a little too
Whose
far,
ass
Chris.
do you
Which
wanna
ones could
beat?
you beat?
Did you beat his ass, though?
Could you beat his ass? That was good.
It got
Could
nuts,
you beat up
man.
Tiger Woods?
It got crazy. It got crazy for a second, Bill.
The only 3 things that I heard about yesterday was that you asked the caddy who could beat in the PJ Tour. You started the Keenan interview with who did Morgan Wallen call the N-word? Yeah. And then Keenan was with us on behalf of Gerd.
Yes.
And then Mike made fun of him for
Mike
it.
made fun of
made
his
fun of him. I was
helmet for sure.
I just misread the room. He didn't like me. He said, "Why am I standing?" I was like, I don't know.
I never thought about it till he said that. I never questioned why Mike is the only one who ever stands until Kenan Thompson said it.
I only stand because Tony stands, and I'm not going to get alpha that way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we were finally getting Steve Williams' best answer, and we heard in the middle of it.
Hold on 1 second. In Mike's
I thought we
defense-
burned the tape.
In Mike's, we got to bury it. We got to bury it like Rex Ryan did back in the day when he buried the ball. In Mike's defense, I was the point guard, and I clearly couldn't point guard anymore. Yeah. So Mike was trying to point
Chris,
guard.
what do you got? That was another thing he kept doing. Yeah. Chris, you have a question for the guest?
Mike definitely tried to bring the ball up the court.
Chris, it is now your turn to ask a question of our guest.
Please, sir. I refuse to use the backroom communications. I want it on air.
Mike was definitely like a 90s 5. Not like a today's, not like a Jokic. And Mike was like, you know what? I'm putting it on my shoulders.
He was like,
he brought the ball up the court and pulled from the logo, and it went way over the backboard.
But hand up, I got to know my teammate. Terrible entry pass. I brought up Jim Larinaga. Yeah. Mistake. Just derailed the show right there.
You got to get it to Mike in his spot.
Just feeding Michael Sweetney right there in the post, man. Don't take every shot, buddy.
He's still going at it, this guy.
He was so sure about that play call, too.
No, I'm sorry.
For the love of God, anything but that.
No more Larinaga talk.
Now, look, I will say that what they always say, yes, 24-hour rule, but they also say the tape is never as good as you think, and it's never as bad as you think. And I don't think the game film was as bad as we thought it to be when we left the game, because somebody asked Kenan Thompson that question yesterday, and he answered it somewhere, and it ended up on Variety.com. So maybe we shouldn't have came out the gate with that play.
Yeah. Hand up.
But you weren't wrong to see in that opportunity in the defense.
That's why he was wrong, because he asked it in such an aggressive way that
it was out
the
gate.
Off the top.
Before he said hello. It was. I mean, but we learned from our mistakes.
He went for comedy instead of for journalism.
Yeah, that's
which I'm okay with that move with the comedian.
It was a decision. It was a choice, a poor one. But
I think his response was, "This is what happens when Dan's not here."
Yeah, for sure.
Which is like his biggest mistake, thinking that it would be less awkward with Dan in there. But you know, when you're starting a series on the road, you really just want to take away home court advantage.
Yeah. I mean, we had our down.
No.
So like if we take game 2, we got home court coming back for game 3. So let's focus on one game at a time. Game 2 is right there in front of us. We know where we went wrong, and I mean, even though the Jim Larinaga vine is right there, we're not going to take it.
It's rare in the first quarter of this game 2. We're like, can you guys believe that game 1? That shit was crazy.
No, I was trying to start game 2, and you guys wanted to do an assessment. Yeah. And one thing I'm not going to walk away from is some good open criticism of me. Let's dive into. So we good? Is it all out on the table?
I did say 2 up, 2 down. To Kenan, and I feel like we glossed over that.
We even forgot about that.
And I also want to raise my hand with accountability.
There you go.
Especially as one of the only 2 blacks in game 2 to say I am ashamed of myself. I will be better today.
Yeah, I mean, 2 black people's not enough. We gotta get another black person. Hey, Carl, find me a black person to join the show today.
Literally 2 up, 2 down. It's what we are today. All right,
so we're good?
We're good.
That was the 3rd time I tried to put the show behind us, and then someone else jumped back in.
There was one positive that we can learn from game 1, and you mentioned the hot start, which was you guys were just calling fullback dive.
Yeah.
We had pigskin as America's pastime, and we talked football to start, and that was a good start that we had. So should we replicate that?
I think we should. Perfectly done. Tush push. Get that crap up out of the league. Am I right?
Should we?
You're not one of these guys.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I don't feel great about punishing somebody for doing something better than everyone else.
Right.
Because that is the name of sports, and it does, like we talked about, tie into the legal corked bat situation going on in New York.
They're not corked. You guys,
something.
It is also framing matters. They're just a little misshapen, I guess. It's a design. It's not because when you say it's a corked bat, it's suggested they're cheating.
Yeah,
and
it feels like it.
They just what I don't understand. If we're moving over to baseball, what I don't understand is why everyone doesn't have a torpedo bat right now. Like, what are you doing?
Ellie De La Cruz busted a torpedo bat yesterday.
2 home runs.
7 RBIs, 2 home runs.
See?
I think that I need a torpedo bat just to hold while I do the show.
Yeah. it'll help us in game 2 for sure. So, look, the tush push. What happens, the only reason why I kind of agree is what happened in the Super Bowl when the refs were like, we're going to give him a touchdown. And that's like,
a conference championship game.
Yeah,
conference championship.
Right. Which I thought that was compelling.
Yeah,
I thought the Commanders were really going out of their way and were effective outside of that one time where they jumped offside like 7 consecutive times.
They let up 55 points. As a Commanders fan, that defense is not effective.
But I mean,
no, it was.
They were showing
on
that
the
there is a path, and like Hawk alluded to, this play is available to all 32 teams in the league. two teams do it exceptionally well, and we're going to stop it because one team is a Super Bowl champion and really does it exceptionally well. No one else does it as good.
So this is the what happened in the Commanders game was on the goal line, the Eagles were trying to do the tush push, and the Commanders were completely comfortable with jumping off sides in order to stop the tush push because half the distance to the goal is nothing, and 6 points is a lot. So eventually the ref suggested that you do it again. We're just going to give them 6 points.
Which is, come on, man. We should have made a bigger deal about that as a society. What the hell are we doing? Who gives you the right? Who gave you the authority to award touchdowns for plays that aren't touchdowns in the conference championship game?
Wow, thank you, Tush Push. We had no idea that a ref could do this.
What?
I mean, it was such an exciting, captivating moment that we found out that the ref can do that.
To answer your question, the NFL bylaws and rule book give you the right to do it?
There's no way that's legal.
It is legal.
I've never heard of that ever in my history of life.
So, I mean, I guess you have to take it out to the most extreme is if they just continue to jump off sides, the game would never end. So the ref has to have some sort of power at that point because no time runs off the clock. The ball moves a smaller fraction of an inch every play. Like, if we're talking about ending this game and having a game, if you're in that situation, the refs have to have some sort of recourse, right?
No. I don't believe
so. You want that Bill Belichick just like, you know what? We're going to jump off sides until
Every
tomorrow.
time.
We're going to have a war of attrition.
It's the only solve.
See who gets hungry soon enough.
Who loses more in commercials by continuing to keep this play going? Was it not the most effective we've ever seen against the tush push?
It was, but it's
in that 2 minutes.
It's a quarterback sneak. Like, I don't understand. Like, just because it looks a little different than your conventional quarterback sneak, we're going to outlaw it. Then outlaw the quarterback sneak.
So,
and the argument is it doesn't look like football. It looks exactly like football to me.
It's a little like rugby.
Yeah, it looks a lot more like.
Which is a lot like football.
McVay was like, it's not because they're good at it. It just doesn't feel like football.
So, all right, there's a couple of different things. I think that there's a couple of different reasons why I think it should be banned, and it's not because of how effective it is. The idea that it's not against the rules is kind of murky because, like, you can read the rules a different way to suggest that you're not allowed to help pull or push any player in the league. It's always been against the rules to be able to do that. Recently, they kind of de-emphasized it, I guess, because it's still technically in the rule book, isn't it, that you can't aid and assist someone in that situation. The reason why I don't like it is not because it's effective. I think people want to make it like, oh, you can't stop it, get it out the game. It's because it's the responsibility of the league to create the best product. And I think oftentimes we think about rule changes as it relates to health and safety, which sometimes is true. But the rule changes, as we've learned in baseball recently, you got to tweak them. And the NFL and even the NBA has been comfortable with tweaking rules in order to keep the entertainment quality there. And I think Mike is right. At this point, the tush push doesn't bother me as far as like entertainment quality. There is some suspense to it. But I do think that it encourages us to a version of football that we don't like. Because if the rules aren't going to make it so you can't do it anymore, then the coaches and general managers have to design plays and draft players in order to stop it. And I think that sends us in a path that's less fun to watch.
It's getting stopped. I mentioned that there are two teams that are really good at it. The other one's the Buffalo Bills. Famously, in their conference championship game, they got stopped. Now, it might have been a controversial call, but it wasn't the only time in that game. In a short yardage situation, Buffalo lined up, and Casey was ready for it. I think teams just got to get better at it, and I did think towards the tail end of the season, you started seeing teams find ways around this.
Ironically, one of the best teams at it is the Arizona Cardinals with tiny Kyler Murray. Yeah. So it's like we talked. There's all the like every single discussions like, will Jalen Hurts squat 600 pounds?
Yeah.
Nah. 5'9" quarterback can do it.
I mean, I've seen Kyler Murray run the ball. I'm not sure that he doesn't also squat 600
I was going to say.
That's a good point.
That dude's got some power.
He's probably all thighs, actually.
But it goes to people make the argument like, if you don't like, you stop it. Like it's a manly thing. Like my pushback from the defensive perspective is, why y'all got to push? If we want to do a quarterback sneak and you want to go mano a mano, your centers and guards against our D tackles and linebackers, then do it. Tell Saquon to get his big quad ass out of there and stop pushing. It's not as if Mekhi Becton ain't big enough. Like, I want to see that. That to me feels like a a fairer matchup and a more interesting and a less lopsided play.
Should a team draft Desmond Watson, the 464-pound defensive tackle from Florida, one of the NFC East teams, just for tush-push situations?
Yes, and so we can just run a jet sweep on his ass.
Exactly.
Every time he's on the field, just to say, hey, we took away. It's 10 on 11. Let's go far left.
So
Job finished by Desmond Watson. Good job, buddy.
Desmond Watson is not like a great college football player. He's just 460 pounds.
464.
Yeah.
And he wore number 21, which is funny.
Perfect.
I know it's like an old
This
fogey
is him running,
take.
boy.
Hey, he
Get
can
it,
run,
Desmond.
though.
He can get them knees up.
Grande
464?
por gusto. That guy sucks. It's
take
like
it.
a 7'9" college basketball recruit that's like
Dang, man.
outside the top 100. What's going on here?
How is
You gotta
that?
answer
Didn't he walk
questions.
on?
Yeah, like how are you
a
7'9"
walk
and
on?
not one of the top 100 high school basketball
That's
players?
kind of crazy.
Florida has a 7'9" guy, too, Olivier Roux.
I thought that's who we were
what-
talking
yeah,
about.
That's exactly what I'm
Hand
talking
up, my bad.
Okay, it's all right. Hey, we
right.
can bounce back from that.
I
Take
know
it
it's
out.
an old fogey take, but there were people that were doing this for forward passes. Wow. You know, it's just
Yep.
it's I don't understand it. It's available to everyone.
So, first of
like
all,
everybody could do it.
What if they just tush push all the way down the field? What if they're
I would
averaging
love to see that.
3 yards a clip and they just say, you know what, we're just going to tush push this entire drive?
I'd love to see that. You're acting like there isn't other unfair things in the sport. I think Patrick Mahomes is pretty unfair. Let's outlaw him.
That's
and
different.
see, this is
This is amazing, Mike. Your two takes. NFL executives agree. This is an anonymous NFL executive said that if these guys were around during Johnny Unitas years, they'd be banning the forward pass. And Mike Vrabel literally said, well, I guess Lamar Jackson's unfair. We should outlaw
He
him
is.
running.
Nick Sirianni should start next season. If they don't ban it, the first drive of the first game while the entire
First
country's
play,
watching.
yeah.
The
whole
first
drive.
drive should just be tush push
I'm
the
with
entire drive to see how far they can go
That'll-
with just the tush push.
That's what'll get him.
He has nothing to lose. He won the Super Bowl. I think his fan base, who hates him, would love him for doing that.
His fan base who hates him.
he won him a Super Bowl and they
Crazy.
still don't like him.
That's
So, Desmond Watson looks like Big X the plug while he is jumping and running. By the way, did it not? Yeah.
It
Okay.
did look like Big X. But
And-
he also played college football.
Yeah, he did. Did he?
Yeah, he did. He went to
He
college.
wasn't any good, obviously.
I think he went to a D2 school, a D3 school.
I've seen Big X on stage. I'm pretty sure he don't look all that athletic. He don't be moving like he could.
He don't got a lot of oomph
Yeah,
to his
that outside zone would have given
Yeah.
Big X hell.
tush push though.
Oh, Big X would have
X
plugged.
Might have been the
push.
plug for the Commanders.
So the thing I would push back against you, Mike, I'm just saying, and I think it's fair. All the things that you're saying is fair. However, it doesn't address the point that I was making. Like, my point isn't about it's not fair. You know why you don't outlaw the forward pass? This is awesome. You know why you don't outlaw Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson? This is awesome. This, and it encourages people to get faster, more athletic, more fun to watch people onto the field in order to compensate for Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, and also the forward pass. You got to get a more aerial, more fun game. And I feel like some of the rules changes in football were partially about moving us away from a more physical game in the 90s, but also encouraging passing because it's more fun to watch. And that is my argument for why I don't love the tush push, because you end up in a situation where you start to increase the value of players like Desmond Watson, which no
Okay with
disrespect-
that, honestly. I'm serious.
I know you are.
Like the big guy. Like I don't mind. Like I don't want it all the way down the field, but I don't mind a package where it's like, okay, you got your tush push where they're bringing in their two 400-pound guys.
I like specialists, and there's something to be said for it. They leaned into their identity. They built an entire roster for those situations, and it kind of got all boiled down to that one play. It took every single guy on that side of the ball to basically buy in and execute that play better than everybody. And now you're going to change the rule, and you have to look at your roster and try to figure things out. I don't think it's fair.
Right. Well, I mean, Howie Roseman's roster construction strategy is something that Charlie loves because it's pretty plain and simple.
Yeah.
Him big, him fast,
Yeah.
him strong,
Him an Eagle.
him an eagle, right?
Him, Georgia Bulldog.
Yeah. Because I believe Kirby Smart also has the same strategy.
Yes.
It's like, hey, get the biggest, fastest, strongest guys. And so I don't think the
Who drive really fast.
Yeah.
They got to drive super fast, man.
Can we talk for this is a small detour. Georgia had receiver named Nitro Tuggle driving 107 miles an hour.
No pun intended.
That
on the tour.
rules. He should not get a ticket if your name is Nitro.
He's going to make a great Eagle.
Yeah, so I think what I'm having a hard time with is when I present my reasoning, no one refutes the reasoning that I'm suggested. Like, you keep twisting it back to something else that I don't think matters.
I will refute it. I like watching a team try to stop an unstoppable play. And I think that there was high drama in those conference championship games because Washington did make Philadelphia think about it. Philadelphia was hopping off sides. Philadelphia was trying to do different things out of it because Washington was providing an issue. And in the AFC championship game against a team that is second most famous for doing this, there was a play that decided the game by Kansas City stopping it. So I think it's high drama.
I'm sorry, go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I don't think you think there was drama in the NFC Championship game of the Super Bowl.
As a commander,
the second Saquon Barkley took that first run to the house,
Fair enough.
the Super Bowl was over in
enough.
5 minutes.
Well, what I'll remember forever is the 7 straight plays that my guy from the Commanders hopped over the line of scrimmage,
Frankie
forcing
Louisville.
the official to say, hey, you keep doing this, I'm just going to give him the touchdown. That was amazing.
That was crazy talk, man. I still don't think I don't understand where that ref gets off. I'm pissed about that.
Does every ref have a different number? Okay, mine's 6. Then I'm giving it to you. For me, it's 10. I'll wait for 10.
I think the refs should have names on the back of their jerseys, and they should get on the podium after the game and go through the game tape like we had to do today. There's no accountability for you just to say, hey, I'm all of a sudden the touchdowns are, and I'm just going to decide you get a touchdown and you get a pick over there because I like the way that you've been paying attention this game. No, that's not how this works.
I was with you until we handed out interceptions.
That's what I'm saying. Where does it stop, Dom?
I'm on board with handing out picks, so I'll take a couple more.
I'm pretty sure Charlie has the answer for this, but what makes a tush push the tush push? Having like a big running back push your quarterback sneak. So that's specifically what you outlaw because you're not going to outlaw the quarterback sneak, right?
Yeah, quarterback
because
sneak is fine.
A white guy was really good at it in Tom Brady, so we're not going to do that.
It's the scrum formation too. It's
Yeah.
even some of the linemen get pushed, so you can get like a bigger push forward from inline tight ends and fullbacks. So.
But I'm just saying, like, how do you legislate it? How do you?
No, you can't. You cannot. I think it's already in the rule books. Like, you cannot help a runner. You can't push from behind. You can even add to it that you can't push a guard from behind. Like, it's.
But linemen do that a lot. I love when there's
I
like
love
a
when the pile
scrum,
moves like
and
9
you see like a
yards.
guard come flying up and it pushes it across the first
That's
down.
a great play.
Yeah,
I want that still.
That's in the course of the game. I don't mind that as much. And I think that when it's an obvious thing that's like clearly bad for the game, the decision is easy.
In the course of a game.
And all of this is
No,
The tush push is also in the course of a game.
I'm saying that it's in the course of a play, a normal play. It's like a slot receiver catches an out, and the guard just hauls ass downfield to help out. That's different
that is
than
not
lining
holding up
up.
in court.
That's different from lining up.
It's not a different play than they're all football plays.
I get what he's saying. But
I do, but like they say
his
hut and they
his
snap.
explanation is tough.
But
I'm
if-
trying to.
if they
I know
ban-
exactly what you mean.
Everyone gets it. It's fine.
Will they still have
Do
that?
they?
What we were just talking about. If they ban the tush push, will the linemen still be able to do that?
I would prefer them not to, but I'll make the concession that they can. Like, get out of here.
Thank you for
The guy has the ball. Let him run and tackle. You flying downfield, throwing your fat ass body into a group of football
dangerous.
players feels stupid and
I've gotten
unnecessary.
hurt multiple times
Yeah,
that
like
way.
get out of here. Stop it. Your job is to block.
Somebody
then
protect
block.
me.
But whatever. What I don't like is the tush push formation. And I think that it's easy when there's a rule that is obviously bad for the game. I think it's hard when you have to project how it will impact the game going forward, which is why I agree with you, Mike. Last year, the tush push, it's overpowered, but it doesn't bother me near as much as, I guess, and this is my fault, what I'm projecting it will do. Because people, if you don't outlaw it, and I know you said some people found a way to stop it, it's overwhelmingly unstoppable. Yep. If you don't do something about that, then the teams have to do something about that, which I think pushes us in a direction that I thought we were steering away from, and we love the way football is played now.
I like your point about like the formation. What if you have to declare that you're going to tush push, and then the defense gets their team ready for because the real fear is that you can't commit too much to the tush push because they'll throw it deep. But if you want to do the tush push, you declare, you get your tush push team ready, we get our tush push team ready, and we just
The head coach like hits his butt to signal it.
yeah, and it's like, yo, Tush push team. It becomes a special team.
We're gonna make it look less like football. We're
Let's
gonna
just
make
go.
it even. How about it's just 4 guys on the line?
I'll tell you one thing. Trent Richardson would have had a 10-year NFL career as a tush push specialist.
Yes.
Coming under center for one play.
That's really what it is. It's special teams. That's where we're missing it. We just cracked the code. It's not a play. It's a special teams play that doesn't fit within the other course of plays, much like all the other special teams plays.
I would say that one thing about the tush push that I like is it encourages more aggression from coaches on 4th down. It does somehow, though, discourage aggression on 3rd down, which is like we don't take that into account. Also, when it's 3rd and 6, one of the great beauties about being on defense, 3rd and 6, we know you're throwing, here comes our best blitz, here comes our nickel and dime package. Now it's like 3rd and 6, y'all gonna run it again? And I get what you're saying.
That's whack.
What do you mean it's whack?
Wow, you're making defense harder. Like, come on,
That's
man.
not the
It's a game
argument
of football.
That's not the argument I'm
Like
making,
your
Mike. Of course you like his take.
I don't know if you got
Is this
I
an
don't know if you've
offense
been-
defense thing?
I don't know if
Because
you
like,
know.
wow, how hard it's already really difficult to stop these offenses, and now we're gonna change obvious passing situations just because they're good at running. That's not fair.
That's actually the best probably take for in. What am I saying?
You're trying to
no.
agree with
Call
Mike.
timeout.
You're trying to agree.
Let's regroup.
20.
Let's regroup.
I got a rebuttal.
Because
for
here's
Mike.
my thing really quick. I've been flip-flopping back and forth, arguing both sides of the take. Nobody's noticed.
No. What you're
So
doing?
I forgot which take I was arguing for in that moment.
I know you
because
said that
I've
I
gone
was
back
really
and
right
forth
with
the
something.
entire conversation.
Been there.
So what you got to understand is, I think that you came in today thinking like, hey, I got my man. I'm gonna be everything for my guy today. But don't worry.
I'm doing a lot of jobs right now.
Don't worry.
I got to get back into my system.
I got this hosting thing under control.
You do.
I
You're
got it
crushing
under
it.
control.
Maybe we get rid of motion too. That's hard to cover.
See, now you're being sarcastic, I feel like.
You like declaring plays? I hate that. Like I hate that they have
Yeah.
to declare onside kicks now.
I don't like that portion, but I do like the idea to even the playing field because there's no way you can stop the tush push in a way where it seems fair for both sides. And the argument Mike was making that, well, he was saying it in jest, but in sarcasm, but it's true. All the rules do benefit the offense, so now you give them another one. When is the last defensive rule?
Not never.
passed?
You know what it is they re-emphasized the illegal man downfield.
Okay.
They had like a whole season of RPOs where the offensive lineman would be 4 yards downfield and the quarterback would pull it and throw a slant. And defenses, like you may think that we look to see if the ball's handed off. We get our run pass keys from the offensitive lineman. So like it was really unfair to be like, hey, we're running the ball. Look at this tackle who's 3 yards downfield. Psych your mind.
So they also did they take away cut blocks completely?
Yeah, that was a health and safety thing. Not completely, but
Okay.
you can't cut block from the outside in
Right.
anymore where you
Yeah.
used to be able to do that. They also took away the defender's ability to cut. So as a cornerback, they would run screen passes.
Well, that plays into this as well because in the tush push, if I'm on the D line, can I just dive at the offensive line's legs?
You can.
Okay, so
You
they didn't
can.
take that away. All right, well, I got nothing for you, Nick.
I wish we was like an evolution of the tush push, right? Like I'm looking at the formation here, and I feel like if we had like a wildcat come out of the tush push, right? Where like Jalen's down there, they hike it to Jalen, and then he just like passes it between his legs to someone else, who just like pitches it out to Dallas Goedert, who's like wide open because everyone's just expecting the tush push. The problem is, it's so effective that they don't need to change the play, right?
Yeah.
Like if they were blocking it, you could start experimenting with stuff like that, but
Yeah.
they don't even need to because they just get the first down and they get 4 more downs.
They've had a couple plays off of it that they just do just because. But to Mike's point, if I were to switch sides of the argument, the position would be someone should stop it because then it would lead to something else. But what do you think about it?
My thing is, Mike, you are a noted non-NBA ball watcher because the game has gotten boring and redundant and homogeneous. You're asking them to do that into the NFL. Just make it a more boring game.
I don't think that play happens that often, where it's every time down the court they're looking for threes. Every play, every snap, they're not looking for a tush push. So I understand the point, and I understand why people are fearful, but it's been around for 3 years now. And so, like, one team's doing it all the time. They're famous for it. None of the other teams are doing it as well.
So
They're in my division, though. That's a problem.
So my
that's what
point,
I was
and maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's an excellent analogy that you bring up, the 3-point. Like the 3-point line, when it was introduced, it took decades before it became a homogeneous part of the game. My point is we keep getting back to why this matters in competition and saying, whoa, defense is just being soft. My point is, and it's a hard thing to do in professional sports, it's a business with two goals. It's one to win and well, actually, it's probably one to make money and two to win. And I agree wholeheartedly. If we're focusing on the winning part of it, yeah, that's fine. But if you're talking about the make money part of it, I do believe that this is a step in a direction that I could be completely wrong. Maybe if we allow this to keep going, it does not go down a path that makes the game less entertaining or less interesting. But to the point about three-pointers, let's add three-pointers. They're fun. This is cool. This is different. Now we're in a place in modern basketball where the three-point shot has taken over to the point where some people complain about it.
Okay, no, I'll listen to that NBA point because it's a good one. Look, the Phoenix Suns were really exciting because they kind of saw the inefficiencies out there, D'Antoni, then Daryl Morey, and then after Phoenix had their success with it, it took a couple of years, but then every team in the NBA started playing like the Phoenix Suns and having more possessions. Literally in every level of football, one team's doing this to this level. You're not really seeing it in college football. You're seeing, well, high school football, who knows? You get all sorts of kooky offenses there. But in terms of football top down, it's the Philadelphia Eagles. We haven't gotten to the point where it's been oversaturated and every team in the league is doing it and ruining the game the way that the Phoenix Suns revolutionized the NBA and to a degree kind of ruined it, to the point that I'm here saying that we got to make the courts bigger. We got to back up the three-point line because they've mastered this. They've cracked the code. Baseball, they cracked the code, and then baseball had to come in and correct it. I don't think we're at that tipping point. It's one thing to be fearful of a tipping point, but when one team is doing it that much better than everybody else, it kind of feels like sore loserdom.
Let's not get to the tipping point. That, to me, is my point. But you think you're capable of switching sides of the argument?
If every team is doing the tush push and it becomes like,
I'm asking,
oh man, this is so boring. Every play, like this is so predictable. Like I'll come around on it. I used to love threes and now I hate threes.
I'm not asking if I can convince you to. I'm asking that if I decided that you are a lawyer and it just so happens that your firm decided that you're going to argue the other side, would you be capable of doing that?
I wouldn't take the case this year. I wouldn't.
I wouldn't recommend it. It was a tough go around for me this morning. I was trying to go back and like, hey, I'm all opposition. I think it's great for football, and it just.
I only take cases I can win.
Confusing.
I do. So that I was going to try to do that in order to put me on the other side of the argument, but because I wanted to make the point that I think the trap that I could be falling into is I could be trying to protect against something that is not going to happen. So, like, if the element of the tush push stayed the way it was this season, I don't have a problem with that. I agree with you. It's entertaining. My concern is what it then leads to from an entertainment standpoint. And a lot of the reason why the NFL has not found itself at this tipping point for so many different issues is because you know what happened? When things happen that impact the entertainment value of the game, NFL address it. When Tom Brady gets his knee hit at the beginning of the season, I'm in the league as a defensive player like, that's terrible. Well, you're doing everything. You make it so hard. Where can we hit him? Hit him between here and here. It's not good. But when we have Tom Brady's career extended and we have quarterbacks healthier longer, I recognize that is better for the health and the interest of the game. And they didn't wait until 4 quarterbacks got their knees torn up. And that's just the point that I'm making is you stay ahead of these things. This would fall into the category for me of them staying ahead of these things. And the reason why the trade-off for me is all decisions are about trade-offs. And so if I see this, and if we're willing to understand that the tush push has a 10%, 15%, 30% chance of metastasizing into a version of football that we don't like, is that worth it to save the tush push? I would say the tush push is not fun or interesting or exciting enough for me to keep in the game if I'm willing to accept that where it could go in the future is somewhere that makes football less like the football that we enjoy.
That's a great argument.
Damn good.
That's a damn good argument. I would just say, like, let's wait till it gets to that point. Like, let's have it actually tip.
So that's.
But what is it in place of the tush push?
Conventional sneaks
or a punt.
It's more fun than a punt.
It is,
but
and if it extends an offensive drive, which means more points and more offense,
it's making offenses more aggressive.
Technically making it more entertaining.
You said it's more fun than a punt because you scared to return punts.
No, I'm a gunner. Yeah, I'm also scared to return punts.
Punts are fun,
but so is more aggressive offenses, and knowing that you have 4 downs to play with.
Fair catches.
No,
it's like
I agree with
go
you.
to the bathroom on punts. Man.
I'm by all means.
honest,
you are right. But I don't think that that's what would happen. In this version of the NFL where coaches are being a lot more aggressive on fourth downs, you're saying that now on 4th and 1, if we take the tush push away, all these hyper-aggressive coaches who are going for it on 4th and 3 in their own territory are going to all of a sudden say, oh, well, we can't push, guys. Well, we can't push. That 1 yard is so scary now. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to do an actual football play. They're going to hand it to Saquon Barkley, and I'm going to be like, hey, this is fun. That might go for 60. This is cool.
When Bill Goldberg was in WCW and he started out his career with this undeniable streak, we didn't just outlaw the spear and the jackhammer.
No.
Kevin Nash got a taser and did what he had to do to end this streak. So
that's how you stop
Scott Hall.
That's how you stop a football play with a taser.
Well, what I'm saying is, can I see someone stop it? Can I think it's going to be high drama when a team, and the day is going to come in a big moment where a team finally has an answer for this, and that'll stand the test of time.
I like
especially if it's in a game of import. Like, that's going to be a moment in time.
I like that take. I love that take.
That's a good take.
If you could promise me, if you could guarantee me that is how the tush push ends, I would sign up for it. But what you're saying is,
let's have a loser leaves town match.
However, the point I'm making is maybe that's not how it ends up. Maybe no one figures out how to stop the tush push. And then maybe every other team in the league starts to draft in order to run their own tush push and to stop the tush push. And then we end up with a league where one Tony Saragusa, awesome. We end up with a league where everybody got 3 Tony Saragusas, and we like, why they don't throw the ball no more?
Come on,
Dominic,
man.
I'm conceding that I don't want to see that either.
And you're saying wait until
we start seeing
I don't mind it. I'm okay because I like now there's another entertainment factor.
Hold on, the smallest guy
Yes.
in football is now like, I want more of them big dudes?
I want more physical nature on the field, man. I miss it. It's the one thing you don't get in corporate America. There is no 40 under 40 that can give, hit that. I miss it, man. All right, so I need it in my football. But I do like the entertainment version of it. Yes, the game, entertainment in and of itself. But I think the thing that we a lot of times miss is like the character arc of football. Meaning like we go through the draft. What did this guy run in the 40? Or how did this guy perform in college? When he transferred here and there, he's a 5-star recruit. Does he perform? And over time, you learn the characters. And with the Lamar Jackson, we've been covering this story from the beginning, and it's a documentary or a movie playing out right in front of us. And as you look at football, and to Mike's point, there's also an arc of like the game of like, okay, here's something new that someone can't stop. Or Lamar Jackson comes onto the scene. How will they stop him? Wimby is like this kind of athlete we've never seen. How does this develop over time? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, to your point, but I do think that is entertaining of itself to see the teams try to stop it over the next couple of seasons.
We do have some breaking news on the rule change front in the NFL. Now both teams can possess the ball in overtime, but amended to 10 minutes.
In the regular season, because that was the case in the playoffs.
Yeah, in the regular season. And expanded replay assist has also passed.
Yeah, I didn't like that. The changes to the overtime rules. Never loved it. For another time conversation, I guess, argument. I think your point is perfect, though, about the evolution of the game. Understanding that we also, while we're viewers of the game, the factors that cause the game to evolve, they have influence on it also. So we need to accept that they also have influence on it and take responsibility for your influence. And don't just wait for the game to change. And that's the final point. We should probably wrap up here in a second, but that's the final point that I would make to you, Mike, is that you would argue that they wait until it gets to that point before we do something. And I would point to these other sports and say, once you get there, it's too late.
I mean, they were so hesitant to change. Major League Baseball was famous for trying to, and the NBA struggled with this. The NFL has been pretty on top of it.
Yeah.
When they hit rough patches, they change rules. When the Seattle Seahawks are doing their thing at the line of scrimmage with their cornerbacks, the NFL is pretty quick to change things. When Josh Allen doesn't get the ball in the playoffs against the Kansas City Chiefs, what did the NFL do? They changed it immediately. So the league is pretty good about that, and I think we should give them some credit there.
Kreischer.
When you're taking your shirt off and using your body as comedy, you're going.
That's Florida, bro.
You're going maximum Florida, man.
That's Florida.
When did you decide to start doing that? When was it encouraged? When did that become your signature? The idea that you're up there just throwing your body at the people here in a tight pair of jeans, shirtless.
The jeans have gotten tighter the fat I've gotten. They weren't always tight. My daughter said Baby Walrus needs to move out of skinny jeans. I started doing it just to cheer myself up because you get on the road and do like a Thursday night and you'd be like, I got a whole weekend ahead of me. This is going to be a long weekend. I'm missing my family. It's not sold out. So I would rip my shirt off and kill a beer to make myself giggle because I thought it was silly and to remind myself this should be fun. And then one night I was in Columbus, Ohio. I ripped my shirt off and killed a beer. And then something happened in the room and I forgot to put it back on. And one of the comics I respected was in the back and he was like, bro, you just did a whole hour with your shirt off.
And how does this work with comfort with your body? Because not everyone can do that. You're the first to be doing that. Not everyone is comfortable enough with their size to be in front of thousands of people shirtless like that because it is funny.
It's interesting because I have this reverse body dysmorphia. So like I heard a story, secret time. Obviously, I'll tell you, but secret time. I heard a story that Chris Pratt was a fat kid growing up and that someone told me like he'll always be fat in his head. No matter how great of shape he is, he'll always think of himself as a fat kid. I was in shape as a kid, and so I do not see myself fat at all. As a matter of fact, I think in Razzle Dazzle, I look low-key jacked. I think I look better than I've ever looked. My shoulders, dude, look at my shoulders.
You are jacked. Oh, yeah. You got some cuts right there. You see it there?
I mean, I'm feeling good. I feel great about my body.
The new Netflix stand-up special, Razzle Dazzle.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. Bert, stop making those
Never show
faces.
your belly button.
Yes.
Do that thing where you're,
Let's increase your female viewers.
make your boobs move.
This is a body you can get.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Wow. Accountability plays. I want to leave that here. You guys can keep that. Andrew Berry is taking a lot of heat recently because of the decision for Deshaun Watson. And I have to give some credit to Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the team that Mike formerly loved, the Cleveland Browns.
We're going to get him back.
You're going to get him back?
Oh, we're going to get him back.
Jimmy Haslam came out, and it's a rare thing for the owners. And it's funny to juxtapose what Jimmy Haslam did with what Woody Johnson said at the same time. But Jimmy Haslam took responsibility and said the buck stops with them essentially for the trade and signing of Deshaun Watson that hasn't worked out. The Woody Johnson quote was about the surveys that were done for the NFLPA, and Woody Johnson's organization got an F from the players. And he essentially said, what that tells me is it's a little bit fishy. I don't remember the exact terminology, but he said that it was kind of like
Totally bogus.
yeah, he said it's totally bogus rather than doing what's apparently, although there's some reason to argue that Jimmy Haslam is not a stand-up guy. In this situation, he stood up and said, that's on me, but he didn't let his wife off the hook. So that's on me. ND.
I guess it's one thing to say that he took accountability, which he did, but he took accountability for Deshaun Watson not being good.
Right.
That's essentially what he's apologizing for. To me, when I quit the Browns, I didn't give a shit if he was going to be good or bad. I was hopeful he'd be bad because I didn't like him as a person. You acquired a garbage human being. That's what I want an apology for, not because it didn't work out for you.
So if they get Cam Ward, though?
That's how you erase it. That's how you get me back. There's only one way. Well, there's two ways. You can try to find a way to get Baker Mayfield back. That'd be great. I love Baker. Root for the Bucks. I'm a big Baker guy. We all know wrong decision was made there. But Cam Ward is the other way to fix it. Cam Ward, because of the Miami ties, I love Cam Ward. And, yeah, that'd be a great elixir for what's ailing me right now. And I'm likely to support wherever Cam Ward goes to, because I'm that big of a fan of his, and I'm going to be rooting for him regardless of, even if he's a Baltimore Raven or Pittsburgh Steeler, I'd throw my support behind Cam Ward. So I know that the Browns fans have been through a lot, and I think Browns fans, even though some of them supported Deshaun Watson, do deserve someone like Cam Ward, and I lived it. I've seen Cam Ward turn a program's fortunes around. I think he's an incredible player. I think Tennessee's kind of figuring that out, though.
Cam Ward's, I feel like the perception around Cam Ward is going through a bit of the normal quarterback trajectory where last year no one knew him. And this year they're like, oh, he's pretty good. He's probably going to be one of the higher picks. Yeah. And now it's going through the roof. I'm seeing him compared to the likes at the top of the league where his skill level and talent. And I get why people are excited by it, but I mean, I'm getting a little nervous the way they're raising the ceiling on my mind.
Because everyone loves them, it makes you nervous?
It's not even that. It's about how fast it's gone and the names that they're comparing him to and the expectations that they're creating for him in the situation that he's going into. Because they started putting him with people like Mahomes, saying talent-wise, he has that type of arm talent. I don't think he was projecting him to be Mahomes, but they're putting him in that category.
Yeah, it was Daniel Jeremiah who did comps for him, and he said that Cam Ward is in the phylum. He's like obviously not as good of a prospect of the Brett Favre, Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes style of player. And just putting those names out there. And then you look at Shedeur Sanders and he's like Andy Dalton.
First off,
that's a
not
tough
gonna tolerate any Andy Dalton slander while I'm on this damn show.
Should have been a first-round pick.
Number one.
Who slandered him?
I don't know, because it was the tone Charlie took.
Comparing him to Shedeur,
it was
an
up
insult?
And then it went down in the tone of his voice.
Patrick Mahomes, Brett
and then he's
Favre,
like, it was
Andy Dalton.
I feel like even you would
Andy
admit
Dalton.
that those comparisons are different.
They are different
You're
comparisons.
insulted by the Shedeur
I would rather him just
comparison.
give the information and say, hey, he compared him to these guys, and he compared Shedeur to this guy, and just walk away from it. It was like there was a comedic timing.
It was
to
well
his
delivered.
voice.
It was well delivered.
I was gonna ask Charlie.
It was unnecessary.
I was gonna ask Charlie to redeliver it.
All right,
Redeliver
please
it.
do.
Can you redeliver it in a way that's not offensive to Hawk or Andy Dalton?
I would just like to get my information, please. I would not
want it
like to be
monotone.
coerced
Andy
into
Dalton, who should have been a first-round pick, is why Shedeur Sanders is 18th on Daniel Jeremiah's board.
Ooh, yeah, that's moving him up.
I like that.
it. We good?
I like him.
I like him.
The Cam Ward, I'll probably surprise you with the take. Cam Ward is a flawed prospect. He's not perfect. If you go through his best games, he'll do things in the best games that'll positively make you mad. He's the type of guy that a GM will fall in love with, but also the type of guy that might get a GM fired. And I think, look, Cam Ward had a special season last year. And yeah, I think he's going to be a great pro. But also, if this edition of Cam Ward was in last year's draft, he's probably maybe the fourth quarterback taken off the board. You can even argue fifth, considering how Bo Nix finished last season. I think it says more about the current state of the draft class that Cam Ward is being talked about. And because he's going to be number one or talked about as the number one pick, then, of course, the comparisons to Patrick Mahomes are going there. But if he's talked about as fifth quarterback off the board, you're not hearing those comps.
I feel really good about Cam Ward, man. I feel good more than anything. I mean, yes, he looks good on tape. He has the arm strength. He throws at the certain arm angles like Daniel Jeremiah said. And I love Daniel Jeremiah. I really trust his opinion on the quarterback guys. But what I love most about Ward is like the opposite of what you expect for guys that have been in and out of the portal, right? Because in this new day and age where you're going to have a quarterback that's played for 2, 3, 4 programs, you're going to have a lot of questions about, A, their personality, why they're doing that, what's important to them, and them not being able to be stable in any one place. Cam Ward has also bounced around, but if you watched him, he jumped up at every level, and it felt more like in an effort to prove who he was to everybody else and himself. And when you look at the success he's had at every single stop, I mean, you can't help but be impressed. This is a guy who will go into a program and has such a confidence in himself that he is the linchpin to turn it around.
And don't you think the fact that this is a guy who he started at Incarnate Word, his upside is the fact that he hasn't been coached in a major program. Like Shedeur Sanders was being coached by elite position coaches since he was a kid. This was part of Deion's plan to have him as an NFL quarterback. Cam Ward is like sort of backed into this where his talent and his elastic arm are so exceptional that like, yeah, his feet, they're really sloppy. I mean, I remember the first time I talked to Dominique about this, he's like, he does not look like an NFL quarterback in the pocket. And like the upside of that is he hasn't been coached like an NFL quarterback for his entire career. He ran the wing tee in high school.
Yeah.
He had under 1,000 passing yards as a senior in high school. He then set the NCAA passing record. That's unbelievable.
And so, like, so many quarterback draft there, we go through different things. And as we talk about the evolution of the league, we go through different things that we value when we're drafting. At one point, the thing that was most valuable or considered most value for a quarterback was his level of whiteness. No longer a deciding factor, or it doesn't seem like a deciding factor. Then we went into, like, accuracy was a thing at one point where you look for that more than anything else. Pocket presence. And now it seems like potential. Like, potential is the word that gets you excited. And Cam Ward might be the best prospect for that because of what Charlie mentioned. Like, he played in the wing tee.
That matters.
Then he went incarnate word. And then he goes to Washington State. And he gets better and better. And so you can see that he's already on a ridiculous trajectory. And coaches see that and get excited. They got so excited last year with Anthony Richardson. And he wasn't showing that trajectory. He just looked freaky out there. They're like, hey, we're going to figure it out. And with Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and guys like that, everyone thinks they're not going to have Trey Lance. They think they're going to get Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson.
And you know what? I also think Shador fits in that bucket as well. Now, obviously, there's conversation around Shador, and they're like, oh, he's arrogant. Yes, he is a confident dude. Like, he's the son of Deion Sanders. You know what I mean? I'm short. My dad is short. That's how it works. You kind of get what you're given. But at the same time, he also went and performed at an HBCU. And I remember when he went to Colorado, people weren't like, oh, he's going to go here and crush. He's going to go in here and be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and he also did that as well. And so there's obviously a lot more factors around Shador and how he ended up at the FCS level. But I will say I feel this like very similar to him, the Cam Ward, that there's a trajectory there where they're all still climbing. I don't think it's been a plateau.
Is there any bias that you need to declare when talking about, because you got a lot of friends, you're
what
really
is that
famous.
Supposed to mean?
I'm just saying that you watching a different player than I'm watching, if that's your assessment of Shador Sanders. So I'm trying to figure out, you and Deion homies or what?
What the hell is this supposed to mean,
I'm
man?
saying that you established yesterday.
This was your strategy in game 2?
No.
Huh?
You established
to start
yesterday.
a riff with your teammate? This is what you wanted to do?
I take it back.
You wanted to go Kobe Shaq today?
He took it back.
That's what you woke up this morning and
Did
said?
you hear me say I take it back? I take it back.
I don't think you can do that.
You can take it back. You can take it back.
We're in a public forum.
No,
they're all looking at us like, oh no.
I just made
Is he going to flip the table? I might, Mike.
This is a heavy table. You flip the table?
Yeah.
Flip this table?
The top's not attached though, so you got to be careful with that table. Like if you lean on it too much, it'll flip over.
If he was here more, he would know that.
Be careful.
If he was in the gym when I was in the gym, every day, early putting up shots.
It is funny though, the discussion around Cam Ward, because it would relatively be, look, we're not talking about Shador as much because he's consensus second quarterback being taken off. And I reached out to someone in NFL scouting and I asked him, like, how do you think the draft would go if this year's Cam Ward was plopped in the last year? He said Caleb still goes number one, even though he was betrayed by a coaching staff. The upside is still there. Then you go Daniels. And this particular person said Cam Ward's 3, and I found that surprising ahead of the likes of Drake May and Bo Nix. I understand over Bo Nix, but Drake May, I feel like in terms of measurables, in terms of like what a NFL front office feels safer with, because Cam Ward is risky because of the footwork, because of his ability to kind of freestyle a little bit and hold the ball a little bit longer to make things happen. I think Drake May would be a safer pick, but this guy had Cam Ward in round 3.
So where'd you get that information from?
I'm not going to reveal my sources.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, just general.
What is this guy doing, Mike? What is he doing?
Yeah, but this is a high-ranking scout in the NFL.
Look at me, Louie. I'm trying to set up a Louie. Just trying to set up a Louie. Just trying to set up a Louie.
I like a Louie.
Okay, all right. I like him.
The Cam Ward projection is one thing. The Shador Sanders thing is, like, I understand the reason why anyone would draft Shador Sanders. So going back and looking at the Shador Sanders film from this year, one thing that I realized is it was a lot more short passes than I remembered. It's a lot more, like, in my mind, and I think that this could happen, is like, I remember Shador throwing big passes in that game against Kansas, and then I went back and watched it on a flight a couple months ago or a couple weeks ago, and was like, ooh, doing a lot of screening over there. You're getting that thing out your hands awfully fast, big dog. And then I'm looking forward to make these big, thrilling down-the-field passes that I imagined, and they just weren't on the tape that I watched nearly as much. And that's the thing I think that scares people is they don't want to be in a situation that so many quarterbacks or so many teams find themselves in. Is as much as we want to focus on how important it is to build the team. We want to look at the Eagles. It's like everybody can do that. You don't have to have a perfect quarterback. One thing that makes it easier for you, that cleans up a bunch of mistakes, you got holes on defense. You know, it's pretty nice to have a quarterback and 2 awesome receivers, and then you can be competitive in every game.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong, and I think I've watched maybe admittedly maybe 3 like all 22s of Shador. But when I watch him, and the same with Cam Ward, because like Mike said, there's things that pop out that you don't love, like that he's not developed on. There will still be development for both of these guys. And like I also have to consider like where they've been. I do, not that it's been a bad thing that he's played for his father, but it's a different situation. Like you're not out there on the island. I have a son as well, and I know, sometimes I got to just drop him off and let him get out there and just figure it out. Otherwise, there will be always a crutch there. And I feel like in some of Shador's development, you see that in his film, which I do feel like in the right situation and with the right coaches, he will develop his way out of because of the ability he has. It's like when I'm scouting high school receivers and I see a guy from South Florida and then I see a guy from Fort Wayne, Indiana, and I see them in their camp tape, and I see one kid who's catching the ball at camp in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he's just running back to the huddle instead of running upfield, which is like, hey, you got to do this. But then I see a guy in South Florida do it, knowing the culture down here, knowing the football culture, knowing like what you're exposed to at such an early age. Then I'm more like, oh, that's a decision for you not to do that versus this guy doesn't have the information. And when I look at Shador's like downside, I feel like the situation he's in some ways has capped like the best version that we could probably expect when we put on the game film.
I feel you. The tools though that he has or doesn't have, I think is what scares people off. There was a time when we would be scared away from the toolsy quarterback. That seems to be in vogue now. Everyone wants the toolsy quarterback because they all believe that they can turn him into Josh Allen or turn him into Lamar Jackson, which obviously you're probably not going to, but it's worth the risk to take because if you have a quarterback like that, as we saw, particularly in Buffalo, they changed that roster around him many different ways. You know where they find themselves every year? In contention. So that's what it comes down to. And I guess there is really no debate between Shador and Cam. We're creating that. There's there's no draft analyst out there who's like, hey, 1 or 2, Shador or Cam.
What's interesting is we did this exercise with Cam. Where would this year's Cam be drafted in last year's class? It's real scary for Shador if you take this year's Shador and you drop him in last year's class. That's a guy that's being talked about going 3rd overall. That's probably not a first-round talent with last year's class. Wow.
You mentioned how your son is a really good athlete, and I ran into you at the Junior Olympics because your son's an awesome athlete. He gets that from you.
I'd love to take all the credit. My wife was a really good long jumper, like a better long jumper than I.
Did you run track?
I was on the team. I'm like Mike. I was there.
I like the accountability.
Yeah, I was.
No. It's not stolen valor. I was around. I wasn't helping.
I was like a high jumper.
I'm
jumping like 5'2". Wasn't getting a lot of points there. I did triple jump. I did long jump, and I would have these spurts of athleticism where they would, Was
your school like a particularly great sports school? Like I'm shocked that you
Hang
were.
on, Billy was a collegiate track star.
Right,
so
I know.
I want. It sounds like he was on the track.
It sounds like he played.
I was on the track.
Many events on the track.
I
team.
did a lot.
I was there doing every event.
But like for me,
so you were good. You're just being humble.
I'm not being humble. It's that the expectation is if you didn't know anything about me, what would you say? You'd be like, oh, you were the 100-meter dash guy.
Yeah, I'd say you was crushing it.
Nah, I was on the 4x1 team.
So you underachieved in track.
I didn't figure it out till I got to college.
So were you were an anchor? Were you an anchor on the 4x1?
I was the 3rd leg.
Whoa!
You know what I'm saying?
Embarrassing.
Yeah. No, it was.
I am stunned.
It was bad. It was bad. I mean, I ran the 100 twice in high school. My best, I ran it as a freshman, and I ran a 13.6, which is not great. That's no. It's not. I like your. Now you're a better teammate. You're a better teammate than you were earlier. I appreciate that. But in my senior year, I ran 11.33.
Okay.
Was my but that's not like my son is in 7th grade, and he runs a 12.5 in the 100.
So what about your jumps? You're a great jumper, right?
I was solid. I jumped 20 feet once.
Your son had practice yet?
Has he what?
Has he had practice yet for this year?
Like today?
Yeah. I mean, like no. This
It was a weird way of asking.
It was a weird way. Okay, yeah. No, he's had He's had practice
So
in the jumps.
the reason why it's a weird way of asking. The reason why it's a weird way of asking is because for the last 2 minutes, just talking about track and talk about sons.
Well,
I talked
hold on.
to Hawk earlier in the day,
Your son had breakfast
and
yet?
Hawk had a great time at his son's practice yesterday.
Oh yeah. We had practice yesterday. Okay, you were trying to tee me up. I didn't want to talk about it. It's not a good thing. So now I don't feel like you're a good teammate anymore. All right, so I'm pretty sure I ruptured a disc in my back trying to triple jump yesterday at my son's practice. And that's the story we're trying to get to. Because I didn't even get through the triple jump. And for those that don't know, triple jump is 3 jumps. You could probably figure that out. Ooh. The first one is kind of a skip, and then you jump to the next. So you jump, land on the same foot, jump to the next foot, and then into the pit. So I jumped. I just didn't warm up. I was like, I did this in high school. I was trying to give an example. I jumped, and I was like too far, like from the board that I jumped from. And I'm like, let me just shut this down right now. Let me just abort.
You were too athletic?
It was too
Is that
good.
what you were trying to allude to?
It felt that way.
He was the best 7th grader out
That's
there.
the look at me, Louie situation. Those 7th graders,
When Miami lost to BYU, we were too fast.
I was like, this is the board y'all jump from? So anyway, I tried to shut it down and abort mission, and that's where it all went downhill because that's a lot harder than it looks. The landing is always the hard part, and I just came down really hard, so much that it shot a pain up my back, and my head kind of did one of these rattle things, and I immediately got a headache, and now I'm pretty sure I need to go to a chiropractor.
I recognize that urge as a former athlete myself. Whenever I'm around somebody doing sports stuff, something in me is like, hey, you just go ahead and
give it a shot.
Just go a little something, give them a little run, a little crossover. But it's dangerous because,
dude,
I have so many friends. We're at the age, we're at Achilles popping age.
Yes.
Like early 40s. This is when they start popping. I had 2 friends pop them in the last year.
See?
Achilles just out here popping. I went skiing, and that's all I was concerned about. Well, my son's 12-year-old who really likes to ski, and 12-year-old boys.
Oh, he's rich. Go ahead.
They make terrible decisions.
Yes.
And so I was really concerned about him and my friend's son who's 6, who's also a boy who makes terrible decisions. They just try to skate around into ridiculous things or ski around in up mountains and stuff. So I was worried about that. And also
tearing your Achilles.
Yeah, popping something. I mean, everything gets brittle at this age. I was sore as shit, but you know what? I ain't popped nothing. So it was a win.
Well, I don't ever we talked about this. I hear these stories. Right? Everyone knows when you get a certain age, don't do certain things. You will get hurt. Like, you got to just pass on it. But the urge.
Yeah, it's in there. It never
it's
goes away.
in there. And also, it's like the thing is never as pronounced as the stories that people tell.
Right.
Like, I knew I shouldn't have did it. So yesterday, I was like, there was like a little piece that was like, don't jump. But it didn't quite feel as dangerous as it does in the moment. The way my back is.
Were you
feeling.
trying to show off for the 7th graders?
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't you just go like 70% speed?
Well, it was like there's like a line, right? Because if it's like, oh, let me dial it back, and then I don't make the pit.
Well, yeah,
and that's like my going hard was not in an effort to show off. It was like you got to hit a bare minimum to not look like you're old.
I get it because what you were telling us is like a 7th grader could beat you as a freshman in a race.
You get it.
Not in
So
jumping, though.
now you don't want to kind
there's
of have the 7th grader be like,
I'm probably closer to what I was as a freshman in high school than I was as a senior.
Yeah.
Billy,
in the moment.
Billy, I've seen you race before where you got it in you too, where you walk around, you say that, but somebody call you out, they look at you funny, you're like, hey, let me just
line it up.
Y'all must have forgot.
yeah.
Just
You know what I don't do? Because you're talking about being older, trampoline parks, not a thought in my mind.
Those feel safe. Those aren't safe.
What?
They're safe for age appropriate attendees. Like I've gone 2 or 3 times and I've left pretty unscathed, and I feel like I've had to retire from those. Like I don't even want to go back. When my kids are of the age of going to them, I know I'm gonna go down that path. I'm like, I could backflip, and then that's when I end up, not
Tearing
walking
something.
anymore.
Yeah.
What events did you do in college, Billy?
I just did pole vault.
That's pretty sick. Though.
Yeah, but I'm slow is the thing. Like that's the problem. You have to be faster for pole
Weren't you
vault.
the fastest person on the show, right?
Well, no, Chris. There's a misconception there. Chris beat me in the last race. Now
That was a long time ago.
Now that was a long time ago, so I'm not going to be talked into racing down the street.
Same.
But here's the thing. So
I'm going out on top.
So Chris beat me on the last race, but if we look at the tape, the finish line changed, and I'm a notoriously bad starter. Also, I can catch up to people, but I have a bad first step. I don't have a good jump off
I'm
the
not
line.
encouraging anybody to race as I talk about how we're all at the age of popping Achilles.
Swear to God, I'll do it.
I know.
I
See,
swear.
you
I could so easily be talking to something athletic.
I know that feeling.
Dominique, we could get you two.
We
You
can
two
get
need
you
to
to
race.
Well, you can definitely beat Dominique. We know that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
We don't
You
have
beat
to.
Dominique.
But we
Yeah.
have to look at
Easily.
combine
For
numbers.
sure
Are we
would
going to have
beat
to look at
Dominique.
combine
No,
numbers?
you
If
guys
I can get in shape.
Yeah, we don't need to race. We did a combine. We did combine numbers. You're not talking me into popping nothing out here today. I jogged yesterday.
Sounds like you're scared.
Look at
got
me
tight.
trying to catch Billy here.
Nice.
I did watch Dominique
And Billy just giving the
jog as I
Usain
Ubered
Bolt.
home.
It's all right, Dominic. You know, you're scared to race hockey. It's all good.
If you
Okay,
give
I
me
am
2
terrified.
months to train,
Yeah.
I feel like I can pop a really good 100-meter
If
dash
you give me
time.
2 months, I probably will still sit here and be scared to race Hawk because I'm not scared of losing the Hawk unless y'all putting some money on the line. I'm scared of what's going to happen to my bones, joints, and liggies.
Well, when
I ain't here to pop no liggies.
when did this happen to you? Because
Pop no
I thought
liggies.
I heard stories of you racing people in alleys in Washington at the office.
Yeah, that happened. I gotta fight. I gotta fight the urge. It's still so when I at my son's flag football game, my son had a good game, and I told my parents about it on the way home, and I've been sending my parents like clips of him, and my parents like, I think he's better than you.
Yeah.
If y'all don't get the F out of here, I would have gave that kid. And that's the feeling that comes into me when I'm around people doing athletic things or people talking about sports things. It's like, man, why don't y'all stop with this foolishness? Like, I don't.
Let me show you what time. Have you forgot
Yeah.
what I was
Yeah.
in my prime?
And that's what also
My
keeps
son
me-
ain't compared to me.
I mean, he's
One-
right,
one reveal.
But I ride on that fool.
Dominique did lose a 3-cone drill
Stop
to
it.
former
Wow.
Le Batard Show producer, Old Money Charlie.
That's a bold face.
In,
lie.
in a hallway, in an ABC hallway, there were
bold-faced
cones put
lie.
out.
He looks like he's telling
There were
the truth.
cones.
Okay, bold face.
I have a photo.
Bold face lie. What happened?
Photo of a race is crazy.
So
just posted
it is a video, and then there is a freeze frame of the crossing of the finish line.
Were you guys going at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I
So-
thought it was like you went, then he went, and you both timed it. And
No,
then,
no,
like, I have
no,
a
no.
photo.
It's not this Charlie.
Classic
it's a
wrong
different
Charlie. Different.
Oh, okay.
It was a
Gotcha,
fast
gotcha.
Charlie.
Fast Charlie.
Yeah, it was-
Wait, you have the video of this? So theoretically, we could watch the video.
Yeah, I mean, we
Watch
can
the
make
video.
we can make our own determination of who won. But
that-
you're saying you will no longer engage
Absolutely
in
not.
athletic.
It was that was the same year where I had a producer at what was then called the Undefeated, now Anscape, who said that he could score a point on me in one-on-one basketball. No, it wasn't Tony. It was Monis and no, it wasn't Monis.
This is
Well, it
important,
doesn't
though.
matter.
We
It
should,
doesn't matter.
really
But
get bogged
anyway,
down in who it was.
He
Yes, undefeated producer Tony.
Yeah, that was our Tony.
It wasn't your Tony. It was another guy. And
Just score 1 point against you?
see,
That
that's-
doesn't seem that
This
hard.
is how it starts.
See,
This is how it starts.
This is that type of disrespect. Is that
1
they're-
point is
well
Tell him, Billy.
well
by
played, Billy.
accident. It could
Like,
happen.
I could just throw
The
it over
thing-
my head.
Not me. I wouldn't.
The
but
thing
I could
the
score a
fact of the
point on
matter
Dom.
is, he was taller than me too, and he was like, I mean, I'll score one, and I was like, no, you won't. Like, I'll score 11 before you score one, and I was trying to explain to him the difference. Like, you're not faster than me. You're not stronger than me. You're not quicker than me.
Yeah.
You will not get a good shot. And like, I'm not a great basketball player, but you're not going to get a good shot. You're going to have to hit a bad shot before I hit 11 shots. And I beat him 11-0.
Yeah, that sounds about.
And he was like, I play basketball every day. And I was like, I don't. But what you have to understand is just.
I'm a lunatic.
Yeah.
Like,
what does not
athletically.
Tony look like, just out of curiosity?
Like regular Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Tony wouldn't get a bucket on me either.
Don't say that when he's around. He'll show you his game tape over and over
I
again.
might have a
Nobody cares
list for
about
later
that
in the
game
week when
tape.
Tony's here of the top 5 players that I think Tony thinks he's better than in basketball and could beat in one-on-one, but
Is
he
Tony
won't
a good
say out
basketball
loud.
player?
He thinks so.
If you ask him.
Did he try out for FIU?
That was football. He tried to be a quarterback, but they didn't let him use the football. Yeah. So it was like.
He tried to.
Shadow passes.
Who
Yeah.
tries to walk on as a quarterback who's not a quarterback? That's crazy. He probably could have did some H-back, though.
He's got never-ending confidence. so,
Yeah?
yeah.
He is the MVP
That's the number
of like,
one thing you need as an athlete.
Well, talent, too. But
He's a good
That's
basketball player.
1.5. 1.5.
1A,
he's got a good shot.
Does he?
Yeah, no, he's a
Okay.
good basketball
With a
player.
hand in his face.
I mean, he's not a pro by any
he
stretch
plays
of the
against
imagination.
65-year-old Ron McGill.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Does he win?
I saw he shared on Instagram like an MVP of like the Tuesday night league.
Tuesday night
recently.
MVP.
I'm not.
Tony's got a shot.
I'm not.
Man.
They don't just hand those out.
I'm giving the context. He's like a really
Tony's the
good,
best basketball player here by
far.
a wide margin.
Yeah.
I know that's not a great brag.
Not the
but-
professional athletes.
I just want to get him out there and see what he's made of. I'm not saying I'm better than him or I could beat him.
Could he
I
beat
just
Steve Williams in
want to
basketball?
get him out there. Could he whoop Steve Williams' ass is the question that Neek is really wondering with all of this.
That's all I want to know. Can you fight, Steve? Can you fight? I mean, I heard the accent. I was like, he probably played rugby. I bet he's a tough guy. See if I can get him into some tough guy talk. Probably not.
We got to get Tony out here to defend himself.
Yeah, I think Tony can't.
Uh-oh.
Oh, this is the picture. Here we go. Let's go to it.
Who was falling?
That's me falling.
Okay.
Oh no!
Zoom in on the foot though here.
You just saved your Achilles by
What
by
kind of shoes
releasing
are
that
that? Are
thing.
you wearing like
are those
early
shoes?
2000 Steve Maddens? Are you,
No, I think they
Are
were.
those horse huffs or why are they that shape?
what is that?
It's like an octagon.
Is that the end of the race? Why are
they
you
were
falling
horse
backwards?
We did a 3-cone drill, and I was ahead by so much, I decided to backpedal. And the one thing that I'm not capable of doing at this age is backpedal.
Is
Well,
the
not
thing
at
you
this
were
age.
paid millions
Yes.
of dollars to do?
That was years ago, too. Like that's like 7 years ago, right?
Oh, Hawk points it out accurately. You'd think there'd be muscle memory for a
Think of
former
all the
corner.
parts of the race to be like, I'm going to go into the thing that someone literally made me a millionaire to be really good at. And that's where it all fell apart.
Yep, the backpedal.
That's crazy.
The overconfident backpedal cost me the win. I still think I won. Charlie.
Those
Clark's
clogs?
that
What was that? What kind of shoe?
What year was it? And we could figure it out. Was it like those Steve Madden
No,
bowling
no.
shoes
Yeah, the
that were
ones that
very
are-
popular?
What
Like
was it?
The what?
06?
I'll tell you
Popular.
I'll tell you what it was. It's when Nike and Cole Haan merged, and so I
You had the access to all the spending
and
of
it
the
was like
car.
in Nike. I had a lot of Nike bucks from being a Nike athlete, and I was like, all right,
What a
let me get
time,
some.
man.
Yeah, so that's what it was. They were leftover Cole Haan Nikes, and it was like, hey, and that was before we all
Athletic
just wore
dress shoes, man. I love it.
It was before we just all wore tennis shoes at all times. Now it was like those were the most comfortable type of work shoes you could wear back in whenever that was.
That completely makes sense.
I told you guys that we're gonna get to my racist cat, so I didn't know. I'm gonna take it back. He's not racist. His name's Lamar. He's not racist.
Sounds like you're
He just has a healthy trepidation of white folk.
okay.
So we went to Aspen, and while we were away, one of my wife's friends from college asked to stay at our house while they did some work at her house. So we were like, sure, fine, go ahead. You can stay there. She's white. Her husband's white. Their kid's white. They get there, and they love cats, and the cat's there. And they called, and it was like, we haven't seen the cat all day. They called the next day. We haven't seen the cat all day. 4 days. They say, we haven't seen the cat. So we're all kind of nervous, like, oh, they must have let him out by mistake while they were coming in.
How big's your house?
I mean, it's a house.
Come on, man. You seen
These
those
cats
shoes.
can hide, man.
You know how
Yeah,
much Cole
thank you.
Haan's? You know how much Cole Haan's cost?
Plus Nike. I mean,
Are you crazy? Go look up the cost of Cole Haan's in 2011.
It's called-
and that will tell you how big his house is.
It's called Foxworth Manor.
It's not called that at all. It's, you know how sneaky cats are. They can
What's the
hide.
name of the cat, just for context?
Lamar.
Lamar.
Oh, that's right. You said that.
Steve Martin.
I'm going to leave. Sorry about that.
Come on.
Steve
Come
Martin.
on, Chris.
No. You good. You good. Everybody makes mistakes.
We've
Stay.
all made
Stay.
mistakes. Dan would have sent you away, but we're not going to do that.
Yeah, no. We're inclusive around here.
True team leaders here. You're going to be better at the end of this show for that.
So we're all worried, and my wife and I are like, man, what are we going to do? The kids are going to be so upset. The cat's lost, probably dead somewhere. We get home flying. It was like, he could be dead in the house. It just don't stink yet. Like, I don't know, or he ran out into the woods. So we get home at like midnight from flying, and we walk in the house, and the first thing my son does is call for Lamar. Lamar! He doesn't know. We didn't tell him. He just like excited to get back to see his pet.
Yeah.
And so my wife and I look at each other like, oh, cringing, we just gonna try to go to bed tonight and talk about it in the morning. He's Lamar. The cat's in the house for 4 days.
Hiding.
They're in the house, and he's hiding. And that's the only conclusion we came to. He didn't trust him. He was like, I don't know what y'all doing here.
I don't.
Are you guys colonizing?
Has he ever seen white people?
Yeah. I
Has he
mean,
spent his whole life in your house.
yeah. We got him from white people.
Okay.
After that, those might have been the last.
Do we know how those white people treated him?
Well, we don't know. That might be it.
Does he think it was those same white
He's
people?
hiding.
They're coming
Y'all
to
can't
take
me back.
No, I like
Y'all
it
can't
here.
Take me back.
This sounds like just cat behavior. Like cats are weird.
He's a black
4
guy,
days?
man. This is his first cat ever. I can almost guarantee you he's never had a cat before this.
Cats are weird, man. Like
It's the first cat.
Just what they do.
they know the voices of the people they care about, and if it's not one of those voices,
They're
no,
good.
No
So
thanks.
did cat eat? Like just sneak out and eat? Like when they weren't paying attention?
That's what happened. And
So the food was disappearing, but they were still worried about the cat.
But no,
Who's eating this food?
No, the husband. So it was. We put out enough food, so it was too much for them to like tell the difference. But the husband said that he would hear stuff and he just felt like he was there, but he just chalked it up to like maybe creaking in the house late at night. And the cat was just hiding. Came out, got his food, would do his business at night while they were sleeping, and then go back to whatever corner in the house he was hiding in.
You know what I think it is?
What is it?
Because this is what I would do if I had to stay over your house because something was going on in my house and your cat was there. I admittedly am not a cat person.
Yeah.
I would have locked your cat into a room the entire time you were gone.
But you wouldn't have also told me he was missing.
I would have, just in case. You know, maybe you have security, something that would have seen some portion, or something would have happened or went wrong in that time. I'd have been like, oh, he was in that closet the whole time. We must have shut. So then right before you come back, you let it out, and then it's voila, racist cat, when actuality, not cat people.
We locked the cat.
I locked your cat away because I'm not going to be in your house for 4 days scared for my life because I don't know if your cat's going to claw my eyeballs out. I would have enjoyed this mansion by myself.
I'm not a cat person either. I've become a cat person, but the kids wanted a pet, and my wife is allergic, so we consider getting a hypoallergenic dog. But like kids at this age, it's enough work. You know what I'm not doing? Adding another heartbeat to the house that I have to be responsible for. So you get a cat. Cats take care of their own business. You don't have to deal with too many cats.
When
like
you
that.
say you've become a cat person, you just pet it on the head now a little bit?
No, I don't even do that.
I was going to say.
He just owns a cat.
Yeah,
so he's a cat person.
He has not tortured the cat, which
clean-
makes him a cat
No,
person.
I clean the litter box. He likes me the most. I guess probably because I'm the only one that cleans the litter box and feeds him and do those sorts of things, give him medicine when he needs it. I do those things.
Give
so
him space. That's probably what he likes more than anything.
He follows me around. The funny thing is he doesn't like to be pet. So like he follows me around and sits wherever I'm sitting. And if I ever try to reach over to me, like,
that's why y'all cool, bro.
Bro.
Y'all just lock
Hands
in
off.
and just be like,
I mean, would you like
me?
if the cat just starts petting you? You'd be like, what are you touching me for?
I don't like it when
Yeah.
cats purr.
What?
Are you a cat person? You have cats?
My parents have a cat.
Anybody else here have cats?
I don't like it when it purs. I'm like, what's he really thinking?
What's he-
I don't think he's happy.
What's this really about?
He wants me to think he's happy. He's not happy.
I'm not a cat person. I've never had. I shouldn't say I'm not a cat person.
You
I've
have
never
dogs?
had a cat. I don't have dogs either.
You're not a pet person.
I'm not a pet person.
Oh, you
You got to realize, dogs
got
in my
bit?
community,
Yeah.
it was a scary thing, man, because it wasn't
Hit or
like.
miss.
Breaking NFL news from the Breakers.
Thank you for getting me out
Adam
of that.
Schefter has sent
Good
out
teammate.
NFL's kickoff proposal was separated into 2 votes today, one that passed, one that was tabled. Number 1, the football now moves to the 35 after a touchback. That passed. Number 2, no vote at this time on the onside kick modification. It will pick back up at the May meeting.
So, why ever return a kick?
Yeah, the justification for moving it back is they're trying to get, or moving it up. Are they trying to get kickoffs out of the game altogether?
I don't understand. Like, I feel
It
like the
has to be.
XFL kickoff,
Yeah,
it worked
made
in
it
terms
safer.
of having some returns back for touchdown. We saw a spike in that. We saw that start with week 1. Where people get confused with the onside kick because, okay, well, I hate having to announce it. Well, everybody's down there. You can't onside kick at 35 yards. Like
The onside, I think at some point they'll move the onside kick to the flag football version of onside kick, which is you get a 4th and 20.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Why can't we go
another
back to
rule
the-
from the XFL.
Why can't we go punt no nui on them? You guys aren't hip to punt no nui?
I don't even know what that means.
I have no idea.
I
Oh
do.
my
Let him
gosh.
know, though.
Come on, man. This is thanks, Billy. I'll
I got
tee him
you.
up. This is recess football. Like when you're playing recess, there's no kicking, so you throw it.
Oh,
Yeah.
throw-offs.
Yeah, like punt no. You got to yell punt no nui because like this is the
Never heard
last
that
one.
part where you yelled
no
the thing.
nui. We're not doing this over again. It's one and done, baby. We're getting
Might
to
have
it.
just been like a house rule for you guys.
No, no
Oh,
new
man.
yeah, fun.
I've seen it in movies, man.
Which
No, you haven't.
I mean, granted, I produced the movie, and it was a story of my life specifically. That was good. It was a lie, but okay. We can go with that.
Yeah, punting no Nui is not a thing that I ever participated in. But,
come on,
I mean, we
dude.
do throw-offs. So what type of, losers were you playing
Do you
with?
say it
What do you
mid-throw?
mean?
No Nui.
Yes, literally.
So, I guess my
Punt no Nui. Throw.
who was calling for Nuis? Like, when we would do throw-offs, you threw it off. There was never a reason you call a penalty a legal throw?
I never heard someone say Nui that I had to be like, no.
Look at me, Nui.
There's no way you were playing recess football without knowing punt no Nui.
Played some
man.
500
What's that?
where you throw it
Throw
up.
it up.
It's like 100, and then you got to get to
kids-
500, I think, to become the thrower.
No, that's a different game.
I've never heard of that.
Nah, the kids call it, or at least my
Jackpot is
my
what I'm being told
son's-
my game is called.
My son's friends call it moss, where they just all stand in a circle and you throw the or
Oh,
like
that is a
stand
good name for it.
together,
Head top.
and you throw it up over there, and they're like, "You want to play moss?" Like, no, I don't want to play moss with you people who are a foot shorter than me. What are we doing here?
Yeah, they call it head top.
Okay. I thought
That
that was
one's
like
got a
a
different
heavy
name.
game.
We call it
Yo.
no Nui.
We call it no Nui where I grew up, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna introduce No Nui.
Hey, I think we're doing good this show.
Would you have to be, what is the age if I came up to you and said, Bert, you're not going to believe this, but the new movie, Machine, it's in theaters in May, and Razzle Dazzle, a Netflix special, is happening. At what point in your career, at what age would you have said, yeah, that's a possible dream?
Oh, 50? Where I am. I didn't think any of that was going to happen. Listen, I got to be dead honest with you. I shot Razzle Dazzle in November. And I'm used to the Netflix specials, but with the Machine movie, that was sitting on a shelf. They weren't doing anything with it, and they weren't going to release it. And it wasn't until I leaked it on Rogan that it got life. And so ever since it's got life, now it's got real life. And so I didn't think the movie was ever going to come out.
Dan, Bert's got me feeling confident. You know what? I'm going to join you, Bert, taking the shirt off.
Wow.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I'm going to have to do it too.
I too was ripped when I was younger, Bert.
I have to do it.
Let's all be. Come on, bros.
Oh, man.
I don't really want it.
Are you tired of waiting on those 3 dots every time you text?
Hello, Casanova the Ghetto speaking. Hello? Still there?
Only to get ghosted when you're just trying to reach out? Well, we've got a man who loves a long phone call.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Not only that, he hobnobs with celebrities,
Not now, LeBron.
but he's always got time for you.
Yes, Sirski. Hello? What do you need, my friend? My friend? What do you need, my friend? Hot gossip. Do you want to talk life? Do you need some advice? You want to talk basketball? Relationship advice? Say it with your chest or get it off of your chest.
You can get all that. All you need to do is call Juju now. Call Juju now at 650-585-8669, which spells Juju now. 650. Juju now. If you're in New Hampshire, call Juju now. In Minneapolis, call Juju now. On a plane, call Juju now. 650 Juju now. That's the number. Call now.
Call with your questions. Call with your takes. You want to phone a friend? Well, guess what? I can be that friend. Hello? Hello? What are you waiting for, man? What are you waiting for, woman? What are you waiting for, family dog? Call right now.
Take the
uncomfortable.
top off.
Oh, jeez.
All right, you are allowing us to be more comfortable with our physical
Okay.
appearances.
I have to take off my nipple stickers.
He's a pioneer and an icon.
Oh, look at Dan.
Mr. Nipple. Right there.
Perfect.
Do this
Sorry,
to
and this shirt,
everybody.
I don't know. It's like a
Cold in
routine.
here.
Yeah,
It's
it
reverse
is
body
cold in
dysmorphia.
here.
Only
Yeah.
actual. It's a reverse
It's a
body
really
dysmorphia
weird
thing.
time for Jessica to come
We
back
are-
Yeah, I
into the
wasn't
room.
Jessica. Do not walk in here.
Hey, Jess.
You like it, Bert?
Get out.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Why are you massaging
Andrew Luck making an appearance there? Bert, I do want to know when you were partying, the top partier at the #1 party school in the country. What did that look like?
You're looking at
marijuana in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Around 4, Simpsons, fried chicken, and a lot of cocktails up until about 2 in, then back to my place. Goat Campbell around 3 in, joint set on the Seminole Head.
I love you.
And not a lot of sex, just dudes.
The best 6.5 years of your life, Bert.
How much public nudity was there?
An aggressive amount. This is back before that was considered assault.
You can't do that. You shouldn't be. Publicly nude is probably a bad idea, but this was a different time.
I'm feeling assaulted right now in this room.
I took a dump on a pizza box to win an election. Like I was totally naked. Like this is back when that was called provoking.
That is a great sentence. I took a dump on a pizza box to win an election.
By a landslide. I won by a landslide.
I mean, that was Trump's platform.
What can you tell me about being moved performing in front of so many people? Because the crowds now where you gather are enormous. They surprise me even as funny as you are.
I'm telling you, I had a real moment in Boston. I had a real moment in Tampa at Emily, but I had a real moment in Boston when I walked in, and there's this old guy that's been working at the Garden forever, and I walk into my underwear, and he goes, "You sold it to the ceiling, kid. You sold it to the ceiling." And then I got a standing ovation, and I started crying. I was like, boom! It caught me off guard. Same thing happened in Tampa. Same thing happened in Orlando. I never expected any of this, man. At 44, I was fired from Travel Channel. My wife wanted to get a vasectomy. We were tearing down our house to rebuild it. I was nowhere. I got kicked off Funny or Die tour. I was making $2,000 a week on Funny or Die. Tom was making $20,000 a night, and I was like, that's my life. I got to accept it.
Talking Sunset Years with comedian Rob Delaney.
I really am thrilled to be doing this, Rob, because I admire your work a great deal, and it's rare that I find somebody from afar that I've been wanting to talk to because their story seems somehow something even more admirable to me. Now, you might not view it this way. I don't know how much nobility you think there is in your story, but in watching the art that you've made and watching the life that you've chosen, it's sort of been a pleasure to watch your work grow and to see, the things that you are choosing late in life to do artistically.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you, and thank you for acknowledging that I am late in my life. There's a refreshing honesty to that. I am 45, so I'm well more than halfway.
45 is late in life.
I mean, I do think about it though sometimes. Though, like I'm definitely more than halfway done, and that's funny. Isn't that funny?
How does it feel to be told that you're late in life by someone who is considerably older than you?
Who's a great deal older than me? It's strange. I wonder, does he know things does he have access to my medical file? Has he seen things that I haven't seen?
I just feel like I feel through your art like you've lived more than I have. It's really what I'm doing there in the having of 4 kids, in the choosing work-life balance, in learning life's lesson. I just think that I was atrophied as a young person.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the things that I've experienced.
So many big games, so many concerts on the horizon, so many great comedy shows, so many tickets in demand. Well, what do you do if the tickets that you're looking for are all sold out? I'll tell you what you do. You download the Game Time app. You create an account, and you use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Again, that promo code is DAN. And what I love so much about the Game Time app is they got all-in pricing. With a little push of a button, no surprises at checkout, and you get panoramic seat views, especially if you're going to a venue you've never gone to before. You want to know exactly what you're looking at before you purchase. Game Time offers you that opportunity. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. As an aside, a quick PSA to our audience. I received word this morning that Poppy's Domino Tournament has been postponed. So if you purchase tickets to that event, don't worry. We will take care of that. You'll be issued refunds in the coming days. You'll hear about more information on that and when there will be a new date.
Game time. Ooh. I feel like that should be their slogan or something.
It was at one point.
They need to.
Yeah, it's on the copy this time.
You got to go get Ray Lewis to do it though. Like he's the only one who can deliver.
That wasn't even his, was it?
He did it the best. It wasn't his?
the Bulls?
Nah.
No.
I thought it was Ray. I know Ray was All My Dogs in the House, right?
He might have used Game Time.
But that was Baja Men.
Yeah, that was definitely the Baja. I mean, it's all copyright
No.
issues,
The Baja Men are the exact opposite of All My Dogs in the House. The Baja Men were concerned about who let all the dogs out of their house.
Yeah.
Can I ask you something about houses really quick, just because you mentioned it, and I feel like we're not going to get back to it. You just said that like when you had a cat sitter at your house and your cat would scurry about and go sneak the food, that the cat sitter thought, oh, that's just one of those house noises, and we all just kind of like moved on. That's like one of the weirdest things we do as like a society, right? Is like we just like there's noises in your house, and you're like, it's just a house noise. And it's really just because, like, I don't want to deal with whatever that noise is, so as long as I don't know what it is and it doesn't sound like it's too serious, that's just a house noise, and we're not going to address that.
Oh, it's creaking. Like, it's the changing temperature. Like, I think that explains it, right? It's like the change in temperature. It's wood and whatever expanding and contracting, and so you want me to go find where it is contracted and heat up that portion of the house?
No, I'm just saying, like, I feel like there's so much going on that there's just, like, a certain level of sound that you, like, just allow to occur, and you're like, I don't really need to know what
I was gonna let you off the hook, Billy, but
tell him.
We need to know what your Uber rating is, because you seem like
he's grown up in nice houses. He's grown up in such nice houses that they don't have creaks. Meanwhile,
no, it's just there's always one temperature down here, so wood doesn't get colder or hotter, and everything's like concrete too.
As much as I love your value, the value you bring to the show with these interesting non sequiturs, I imagine that this is not a bit. This is you all the time. And so when you're riding in Ubers, you probably annoy the hell out of your driver because you're like, hey.
Well, okay. I don't like the way you're setting this up at all. I was thinking today just walking in.
It was his strategy today. Don't take it.
I was walking in today just thinking because I saw someone doing something. I'm like, that person's kind of weird, right? And then I thought, well, like, to that person, they're normal, right? And like, I'm weird. So like, I'm positive. No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
Are you sure? Look me in my eyes and promise me.
No, it wasn't you. No, it wasn't you. So it was someone that was like running down the street, like going for a jog, doing something, and I was like, that's some kind of weird behavior that this person has. And I feel
jogging
like
was weird.
No. It was a particular. We don't need to get bogged down by this. Okay. So the point is, I saw it and I was like, that person's weird. But to that person, what they were doing is totally normal. And I feel like that's the case for everyone, right? Like, weird people don't know they're weird. They just think that to them, because of their circumstances, what they're doing is completely justifiable and not weird whatsoever.
It's possible. I feel like sometimes I know if I'm doing something weird, and I know it's weird. But you haven't told us what they were doing. You said they were running down the street. Like, if they were
I don't want to say what it was because maybe the person works here.
It was me, wasn't it?
It wasn't you, though.
Okay.
Now you got to.
Anyways, my rating is a 4.91.
Woo!
Yeah, I'm not proud of it.
That's good.
It was a 5 for the longest time. But here's the thing. I don't use Uber all that much. I only pretty much use it when I'm out of town. Like, if I'm in town, I drive everywhere.
Not a good thing, though, because the more times you use it,
the higher the number goes.
No.
Wow.
Yes.
Like the justification that it would be lower because you're basically exposed to more drivers who might understand what you do is weird versus what they think a rider
No, but can I tell you why?
So few means that, like,
No, it means one bad score really throws it off. If I get a 3, then it throws off my 5 average. I was at a 5 forever. Then I looked at it, it was like 4.8 something. I was like, what happened here?
But if you get a 3...
Well, I know what happened.
5 rides.
Can you track it back to that one ride?
I
did.
You know what you did.
I know what happened. I didn't do anything, in my opinion. This is what happened. I was in Washington, D.C.
City.
I was going around. We were checking out the monuments, whatever, right? Because of where we were.
Gotta get the big bus tour.
We got an Uber, And then the person couldn't find where we were. I guess there was like closures or whatever. So the person had to do like multiple loops around. Then it was raining, so we were standing behind this column. Then they couldn't find us, and it became this whole thing. And I was like, I'm sorry that I'm in an inconvenient spot, but I'm a tourist. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. So then I went back and I found that I got like a 3 on that ride. And I was very upset because I gave the person a 5, even though they kept us waiting in the rain for a very long time. Now, I have a strategy on Uber. Because I know that I can be weird, as you have described me. You said I'm weird.
I said you have weird non sequiturs, which I appreciate.
Well, this is what I'll do. I'll never hit the option to not talk to me, right? But what I do is I play the game, and it's weird in the sense that, like, so I'm the one that's being driven around, but I am catering to the driver the majority of the time. Like, I try to get the vibe of the driver based on the music that they're playing, based on if they're starting a conversation with me, based on if they're talking on the phone. Like, I try to see what kind of experience the driver wants to have, and then I try to provide that experience for the driver. Just for this rating that doesn't matter because, again, I pretty much only use it like when I'm on vacation. So if it's been a quiet ride because we haven't spoken much, right, what I'll do is I always end on a positive note. So when I know we're like 3 or 4 blocks away,
you say
like
thank you.
No. When I know we're like 3 or 4 blocks away, the information that I have taken in while I've been in the seat, I figure out what is like the simplest like softball small talk conversation that I can start with this person that I know will go favorable for them. And I show interest in what I've experienced them doing. So like one time when we were like in Chicago or whatever, right? We're driving around. It's pretty quiet most of the time. And it was a Tesla that I got picked up in, right? And I have not been in a Tesla before, especially not an Uber, right? So then I start talking, I'm like, oh, you like this Tesla? Because I know Tesla drivers love talking about Teslas, right? So like I waited a little bit. I'm like, oh, like how do you like this Tesla? Like, I've never been. He's like, oh, I love it. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of cool in here. He's like, it's like, how do you charge? Do you have a charger at home? Do you go? Like, no, I go here. I do this. I'm like, how long does it take? So I just start talking to him about his Tesla because I know that's what the Tesla driver really wants to talk about.
I gave you a 1 star for that.
No way. The guy loved it.
How do I charge it?
I chargers. Guys, no. Some people have home chargers. Some people have to go to charging stations, and when you go to the charging station, you have to wait an extended amount of time. This guy, in case you were wondering, which you're not, this guy didn't have a home charger because he lived in an apartment. So he'd have to go somewhere. And I was like, well, how many miles do you get when you charge it? How often do you charge it? I just get into what I think they want to talk about. I start observing them, and then I ask them questions on the way out. One time when we were in Austin.
You're a .9 boy. That's good enough. You're in the .9 boy crew, which is good. You want to be
I want to get it up, though.
No, I got it.
Here's the thing. Once you're not a fiver, you can never be a fiver again.
I don't know. Do we have the list before? Because I want to know where he places, and did we get one from Amin and anybody else?
I do. I have them. I have Dom. You were only 2. I'm unsure of you 2. You were 4.9, Dom, and you were
4.78.
4.78. I was a 4.92. Mike 4.75.
Let's go.
Jess 5.0. Yeah. Roy 4.97.
There we go.
Charlie 4.87. All right, so now I have 2 updates for us.
Okay.
Tony's a 4.9 flat, which is a little surprising.
That is, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
For the 4.9 club?
Yeah.
And then Amin,
big club.
I texted Amin as I scroll through my text now. This is, not great on air.
So let me ask you something. The lower numbers, I'm assuming, is always someone else's fault, right?
That's
It's
no one took
so
responsibility.
everyone's always like, my friends.
We found out yesterday that Lucy had a dot. What did Lucy have?
She had a really good one, but
4.96. She had 2 charges of $250 for throwing up in the Uber. That she remembered.
That they couldn't have been on her account. There's no chance.
Yeah, those were somebody else's account.
That has to have been like a group of friends that someone else got. There's no way that you've thrown up in a car and you have it that high twice. That's crazy.
So Amin, he texted me. I said, "What's your Uber rating?" He said 4.86, but that's with the black tax. So I am probably a 4.91. All else being equal.
That's valid.
I'll take it.
I didn't want to go into that, but I can tell when I get in the Uber if this guy likes black people or not. Almost immediately.
I can too sometimes, and I'm not even black.
You're not even. And then how do you start that conversation?
What's on the radio?
Now that we're here, finally.
Yeah, because that's the first thing I thought of when you said I try to end it favorably for them. I'm like, you slide a little racism in there on the way out, don't you?
Just a little bit.
You just open the window.
Just to get that Uber rating up.
You crack the door.
It's one of my icebreakers. Goes, so Obama, huh? And then I see which way they go, and then I know which way to finish with.
Appreciate you speaking English.
someone who is not getting a good rating, at least not from Ja Morant, is Taylor Jenkins. I want to get into this conversation. He got fired from the Grizzlies, who were in third place and had a really good record. They're considered a Western Conference contender. It was kind of a shocking, probably would have been the most shocking thing of this.
The vote on the Tush push has been tabled.
Boo.
Back to you.
So this probably would have been the most shocking thing in the NBA season if it wasn't for the fact that Luka got traded. But like having Taylor Jenkins, a winning coach on a team that seems to be heading in the right direction, and a respected X and O's coach be fired by his team just before the playoffs. I think 15 games out of the playoffs while they're playing well in third place blew my mind. I think some reporting has come out since.
Yeah. So the background on this is. They cleared house of their assistant coaches this offseason, and the new offense ran fewer ball screens. And Ja Morant, in this system, was not happy with his fewest touches, fewest points, fewest shot attempts per game in several years. He's also a considerably worse player than he was 3 years ago, shooting the ball significantly worse. And it creates a really interesting situation. You have a good coach. You have Ja Morant, who, regardless of how absurd the NBA suspension and over the top was for his off-the-court stuff a couple years ago, he is still an unstable superstar because he doesn't play and he's not a consistent scorer because he can't shoot the basketball. He hasn't been consistent in the postseason. You guys, is it right in the NBA superstar culture to let that guy in that city change that coach?
Yeah, the reporting is that he's out because Ja didn't like the changes to the
It's
offense.
implied.
Yeah.
It's not explicitly said, but the implication is that he wasn't happy with his role in the new offense.
They're trying to figure out the reasons why. That's not the reason why Ja's not Ja, man. You got to let that bird free, man. You got to let him. You got to give him a weekend. That's Dennis Rod. You got to give him a weekend in South Beach, man. I wanted to ask Steve Williams that about Tiger. Like, you got to let them do what they do, man. That's just...
Steve Williams looked us straight in the eye and said Tiger had no off-field distractions.
That's great. I didn't want to say it. That's why I wanted to give grace to Neek, man, because we gotta. If we're going to take accountability, which Steve went on record, he is not for. He is not for workplace accountability. I'm like, okay, we're just breezing over everything at this point.
The idea of the superstar in the NBA having enough power to fire a coach is not new. It doesn't bother me that Taylor Jenkins got run because the superstar wanted him out. I don't know that banking on that superstar, and I think this is what you're alluding to, Charlie, is that Ja Morant is not a reliable superstar and he's not the level of superstar that you want to give this power to, but he's the guy in that city. And it just speaks to me about being a head coach in basketball or being anyone in the basketball organization. I ran into this argument oftentimes when people want to be critical of teams that were constructed around LeBron and say, well, don't blame the GM because LeBron's actually the GM. Maybe he is, but your job as the GM is to convince LeBron. You know, like you would have thought that at one point your job is to build a roster, but now your job has gotten a little harder when there's someone in your organization who has as much power and influence as a superstar player. Your job now becomes to sell LeBron, convince LeBron it was his idea, or figure out a way. And I feel the same way about this offense with Taylor Jenkins. Mm-hmm. And so, like, if Taylor gets fired because Ja's not happy, maybe you wish Ja would have handled this differently.
Yeah.
But ultimately, as a head coach, when you're head coach of an NBA team and you guys have a superstar, I'm not saying you have to kowtow to the superstar, but you have to take into account that whatever you're doing, the first person, and maybe the only person whose buy-in you have to get off the top is the superstar, and it doesn't matter how good your idea is. Like, I don't give a shit how innovative your offense is. Yeah. If you ain't convinced him that it's innovative and it's going to help you out, then you lost.
It's age-old problem in sports where you think the title puts you in charge, or you think the talent sometimes puts you in charge. When I was playing receiver in the league and I had other receivers, and they were like, man, you're so happy being the fourth. I'm like, I'm not happy being the fourth receiver, bro. I know what I make. Yeah. Like, this is the most I can be looking at the contracts. And you arguing for touches as an undrafted free agent on special teams, that ain't how this works, my boy. Yeah. You got to follow the money trail. So even looking at Coach Jenkins and what you make a year versus what Ja makes a year, It is not more important for what your strategy is. It only fits in that way of how it pertains to the main investment, which is Ja Morant. And also, you might not have even done anything from your perspective, the warrant being fired or whatever. But from an organizational standpoint, we've invested this into Ja Morant. Even if it is like, hey, maybe this doesn't work out. Maybe he'll never be the same player. We got to remove some of the factors to see if that's the case. And I'm okay with moving away $3 to $5 million a year to save the $50 million a year that I'm giving this player.
And the NBA superstar is the NFL quarterback, in that you can't win without one. And even if Ja is not the perfect one, he's the closest thing you got to it. And there are lots of teams that are looking for somebody like that. So you thinking that you can, and I'm not suggesting that Taylor Jenkins is like, man, I don't need to convince Ja. I'll figure this out. But ultimately, whether he's doing that consciously or not having him believe in this plan is essentially doing that. And the point that you made about being the number 4 receiver, and they say you show up to practice happy even though you're not getting no balls, I can't afford not to be. I cannot. Yeah, I'm in no position to come in here and try to wave it around and tell people what I am and am not going to do, although I'm not returning no punts. I don't care what you say.
Me neither. I'm on record saying I'm not returning. I've told head coaches, hey, no, you go back there and return it.
Yeah, I don't know what what happens with the Grizzlies going forward. I don't think that they were like a real legitimate title contender, top of the league, even though they were third place. No one was really considering what Ja and that team was going to do relative to the real top dogs, I think, in the West. But the future of that organization, I think, is still dependent on Ja Morant, no matter what, and finding some sort of way to build something, to hire someone and build something that he believes in and he's going to buy into is their only way of going forward, even if Taylor Jenkins is the smartest new coach on the scene.
Is that the toughest spot for an NBA team to be in, though? Where you don't want to trade someone that talented, because if you trade him somewhere, it's like he could be a 38-5 guy on a random team. But if you keep him and he's entitled to thinking he's in charge of the organization, you might just be a first-round bye every single year for a higher seed.
It's tough.
That's like having a quarterback who's like the 13th best quarterback. You're like, he's good enough to start, but am I going to win anything?
Tua?
Yes, actually.
Yeah, the alternatives at that position are tough, and it's impossible to find the perfect quarterback for your situation, but you wouldn't move on from Tua. And I think Ja is probably a higher version than Tua, but that's not the perfect.
Do you think he has a better arm than him?
Ja Morant?
Yeah. Straight up, if they started at the goal line.
That's so disrespectful.
Do you think he could throw a football further?
Absolutely not.
I do.
There's no way.
How tall is Ja? 6'3"?
Yeah. He's bendy.
Bro.
Elastic arm.
And he can whip it.
You don't think, doesn't he look like one of those dudes who's just good at every sport?
He is an incredible athlete, but there's no way he can throw it farther than Tua. There's no way.
I mean, I think farther, it's like we see the long ball drivers guys, like they're not better golfers than real golfers. But
bro, there's no way. We just got done talking about how you get disrespected every time someone even remotely insinuates
that they could
outdo you at
anything.
Something that you did for money.
Speaking of which, Taylor out there talking crazy.
He was talking nuts,
Get
man.
Goofy ass out of here, Taylor. You ain't faster than not nail me or Hawk in this thing.
I have an update from ChatGPT, and now Hawk, I know there's a sordid history between you and ChatGPT.
Come on.
But Ja Morant, according to ChatGPT, can reportedly throw a football about 70 yards.
What? Wow.
There have been clips of him launching deep passes during warm-ups and off-season workouts, showing off his impressive arm strength.
Do they have him mixed up with Ant Edwards? The ChatGPT.
It definitely knows that Ja Morant is a basketball player.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. I think that plays right into what I was saying. Is like I would not say that Ja Morant is a better quarterback. Like obviously these long ball driver guys are not better golfers, but like if you ask him to do this very simple thing, he's a taller guy, whippy athleticism, big hands. I feel like Ja can launch that thing. Now, is he going to be more accurate? Is he going to be a better decision maker? Of course not. Well, definitely not a better decision maker.
It's not quite known for that. But I also don't think he can throw it further.
I asked ChatGPT for proof, and it was prepared for that question.
Wow.
While specific measurements of Ja Morant's football throwing distance aren't publicly documented, his athletic prowess suggests he possesses significant arm strength. For instance, during a game against the Knicks on February 28th, Morant attempted a full-court shot, throwing the basketball approximately 94 feet. This action resulted in a technical foul.
What are we doing, ChatGPT?
It's 31 yards.
What the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
And now you're spreading this folklore.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
That people are taking.
It's
and
harder
running
to throw a
with?
basketball.
Yeah, it is hard to throw a basketball.
Are we kidding right now? You think he's the first athlete 6'3"?
Nah.
That doesn't mean you can throw a football 70 yards.
I think
because he can do crazy windmills.
I appreciate the Chat GPT support, but I'm not sure that I really.
It was like, he's documented he can throw a football far. Show it to me.
This feels
well, we don't really have a video per se. But remember that game against the Knicks? Shut up, Chat GPT. You sound like my Uncle Rick.
Oh, you got an uncle named on something?
He just makes stuff up, man. Like, he literally just, he could do this back in my day. Like, Rick, you're lying, bro.
Uncle Rick probably hate the internet. Uncle Rick was getting them lies off.
Hey, forever.
Uncle Rick been getting them lies off till the early 2000s when people had phones with the internet.
You wouldn't believe the archives I've had to go into to prove Uncle Rick wrong because he thinks I don't have access to newspapers.
Well, I feel like
go find
that still doesn't stop Uncle Rick, though.
It doesn't stop Uncle Rick.
Apparently, we have a photo of the guy that says he could beat you guys in a race. If you guys want to throw up that photo of Taylor.
He ran track. Why are you laughing, man?
What?
He's running for North Carolina. That doesn't mean anything to you as a Maryland Terp, but to me, who grew up wanting to play for North Carolina. He has a baton, so he's on some team of sort.
Yeah.
On some relay.
That's a 400 guy. That's an 800 guy. You might beat me in a 400 and 800. Riding on Taylor in the one.
You think you can ride him in the one?
Headband's wild, yeah?
The headband is crazy.
Absurd.
Especially because he has like a buzz cut. Like,
Yeah.
Let's be serious about this, guys. Let's break this down.
Especially since he wasn't in like the headband era. Like, how old is Taylor?
That's a wild look.
Yeah.
Like, the headband era was like 2001.
You know,
there's no way that this was then.
What you also know, and for the listening audience, Taylor has good arm definition, which suggests that maybe he's a pretty good athlete. I respect that he's an above-average athlete.
So racially
Bad
ambiguous.
tan.
So racially ambiguous.
Yeah, what is
I'm even
Taylor?
more confused now.
Yeah.
I would
We
also
think Italian.
say,
This is
But that's like a Greek last name,
This
man.
was like a Nike
Tarico?
ad to sell the headbands. Like, let's just put someone right dab in the middle.
This is a Mike Tirico situation.
I see some Mbappe.
little bops. He got some bops
They
too.
got some Mbappe in there.
The top is baggy, man, which suggested to me that the equipment manager didn't respect him, which means he was a slow guy on the team. I'm sorry, Taylor. Like, I know when, as a rookie, as a third-round rookie, my jersey never looked worse.
I don't know what's happening right now. This is the lightest I've ever seen his complexion.
And he's outside running outdoor track.
But it's also the blackest he's ever looked.
Yeah, it is.
How in the world do you got an indoor season complexion on the outdoor season track?
Fuentes is so pissed right now.
Fuentes, why he pissed?
He doesn't like when
Well,
we
he's
talk
not
about
racially
Taylor.
ambiguous.
The guy in the green back there that he's beating very clearly tells me this was like a B team situation.
I don't even know what is that guy's just wearing a jersey that says Jason.
Does it say Babson?
Just say
When does
Jason.
UNC race Babson?
Taylor, this is not helping you, man. I hope that they looked this up. I hope you didn't look this up.
Somebody go mouse split.
He for sure sent this to them.
I
Like,
hope
hey,
you
guys.
didn't send this to them thinking that this was going to scare me.
Is that George Mason?
I'm
Or a guy named Mason?
I don't think George Mason would be the George on top.
It
no?
would be. That's a astute observation.
looks like-
Hog.
it
wouldn't
looks
say
like
Mason
Jason.
George.
Maybe there's a G. Maybe there's a G on the far side that we can't see.
I've never been more confident in my life that I would ride on this kid.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
I don't know.
You probably paid to run too. Are you a scholarship athlete? Did they call you up? Did they send you a letter, or you showed up and knocked on the door and was like, "Hey, excuse me."
I hate to discriminate
excuse
against.
me.
As a former walk-on, I don't want to discriminate against the walk-ons.
However,
some of us do have talent.
Right.
But
however,
this does point to this. It is not Taylor so much. It is the guy beside him, because in a 400, his neck shouldn't be back that far. That looks like a distance runner.
Yeah,
that's a distance runner's demeanor.
and body style, like that guy.
This feels like a 4x1 or like a 4x8.
This might be a
based on
4x8
who's running.
situation.
This is slow. This is a slow race. My guy got them glasses on. That guy.
The glasses is the thing.
And those are rec specs for sure.
How bad your vision got to be that you can't stay between the lines? Like, we not asking you to catch nothing, bruh. How bad your vision got to be that you got to wear glasses to run straight? goodness, Taylor.
Yeah.
Who are you running against?
I like my chances against Taylor in the 100. I did run a 100 last year.
Nice.
This is
Why?
a look at me Louis situation because it was the same thing. I'm like, I want to see what this is about.
You ran all out?
I did tweak my hamstring. I absolutely did. It put me out. I have not run since. It was in July.
Good for you.
But I did run an 11.6.
Damn.
That's solid at 39 years old.
That's more than solid.
Thank you,
That
sir.
is very impressive at 39 years old. Taylor, you don't stand a chance.
While we're catching up on the athletic ability of people around here, we have video also of Tony playing some league basketball.
Okay.
There's Tony shooting a three.
Bang.
Making a three. Apparently, this is a highlight reel, so it's all going to be good plays. There's some in the corner.
Why are we showing this on a day he's not
We're
here?
just
No, I want to see. This is good.
I would like to see it.
I want to see what we're
Hold
working with.
on.
Little dish,
Hold on.
little give and go.
Hold on. Again, Tony, whatever.
Look at the people he's playing against.
There's
Tony-
a dude on the court with a
It's the
pink
same-
satin do-rag.
It's the same
You
guy
can't
from the track
hoop
photo.
with a satin do-rag on.
got
Get
it.
out of here.
He got a stroke, though.
That also looks like a very much younger Tony.
He's a catch-and-shoot player. That's fine. That's the same point in a one-on-one situation.
Can you create?
He's tall.
Can you create
care
and can you
nothing
stop
about
me from
that.
getting to the cup?
If you ain't 7'6", like he got to be like
He was the tallest player on that court.
And you know where he was at? Corner. They relegated the biggest player to the. Hey, they saw him play. It was like, hey, you know what? Stand over there. Me and Satin Durag gonna run a two-man game, and if they help off of it, then you got an open shot. Stand over there.
So you guys, Hawk and Fox,
Here we
ran
go.
the exact same 40 time at the combine.
Wow. How about that?
4.34 guys.
That's crazy.
Lying.
Who's winning a race right now?
That's real speed.
Oh, Hawk is running.
Not today.
You know,
My back situation.
I can tell you.
I have not run since July.
I can't tell you who's gonna win. I'll tell you who will lose, and his name is Taylor. If we were to run a race,
3-person
yeah,
100.
that
I
manila
don't know.
folder.
I like
colored,
Taylor, bro. Taylor's been
athlete.
I like him. Let's throw up that photo again because
All right. Let's
it
see.
does. I mean, we could deduce. Is that
He's
guy in
cut.
first place?
What
Is
we
that guy in first
deducing?
place?
He's cut.
Or is that an official at the very back?
No, hold on. I can guarantee you that Jason is not in second place. So if you're telling me that Taylor's in first place, that means Jason is second place. Yeah. He's all the way on the most inner lane, right? Taylor's on the most inside lane. And Jason, so this is 7-8 territory. We're looking at
Not
Taylor
in
got
last
seventh place.
Unless he's being lapped.
I'm telling you, he could be getting like second place in like Heat 3.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
but he
that's
was
fine,
also
but
on the
at the
football
end-
team. So he's a two-sport athlete at North Carolina.
Yes.
He was,
Yes.
Which is factual.
Yeah, it's factual.
That's factual. So it's not like he was putting everything into
See,
track.
the tough thing is, you said he's a sport athlete at Carolina 3 days after I ran into Julius Peppers in Colorado. You want to talk about a
That's a
two-sport athlete.
athlete.
How dare you put Taylor in the same conversation
He's on the medal stand.
as huh?
Yeah. You
Ronald
got Julius
Curry?
Peppers, Ronald Curry, Taylor Vippolis.
3.
Julius Peppers, man. I feel like Julius Peppers and like Myles Garrett, like guys like that, it's a different category of human.
Yeah.
Like you
No,
were
he
talking
is.
about phylums earlier. That's a phylum that Taylor don't need to get nowhere near.
Are we counting Michael Jordan as a Tar Heel two-sport athlete?
What other sport did he play?
Baseball, but
I
not
mean,
for the
it's
school.
after, yeah, it
No,
doesn't
that
count.
doesn't. No.
He didn't play for their baseball team, right?
I don't think so. Maybe he did.
No, we're not giving him the two-sport. He
Yeah,
has
Taylor's a
everything
great,
else.
So Taylor's a better two-sport athlete than Michael Jordan.
in North Carolina history, for
No,
sure.
he's not. He is not.
The
I
ceiling
won't-
is the roof.
Certainly more accomplished.
Maybe Marion Jones? Didn't she do track and
Oh
basketball
yeah,
at
she
UNC?
did. Yeah,
That's
that's a
pretty-
good one.
You're
That's
off
an-
the medal stand now,
That's an
Taylor.
incredible athlete.
But you're still on the Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
You know what Taylor does around here? One of his most important jobs, boldest take.
I was just thinking about the boldest take. Can we get it? I've heard Dan give the listeners a lot of hell about how bad this stuff is. I actually really like it.
I think the last few weeks they brought it strong. The Boost Mobile boldest take from the weekend is presented by Boost Mobile, the newest 5G network in the country. So let's see what they got this week.
We should not be making not dishwasher safe products anymore. I'll hang up and listen.
Hey, this is Richard. I just got out of a lunch with my sister-in-law. Bold take. You get one basic modification to your meal. After that, you're an You say, hey, no pickle or no onion, add tomato, whatever the heck. You get one. Anything after one, you're a piece of
My boldest take from the weekend is that the Tootsie Roll song is way more popular than the Tootsie Roll candy.
Provolone cheese is the superior all-purpose sandwich cheese. Put it on a cheeseburger, cold turkey sandwich. It goes with any kind of sandwich.
Hey, this is Jeremy from Auburn. I'm going to do Bobby from King of the Hill Limited Fake.
Dad!
Yeah, this is Jahan from Oklahoma, and I'm just going to say, quit calling it a luncheon. It's just a lunch. Get over yourself.
Deep dish pizza is closer to lasagna than it is to real pizza.
To William from Winter Park, and this is my limited fake Mickey Mouse.
Oh, boy!
Hey there, it's Bobby from Arizona. I was looking at some very early pre-draft rankings of players, and I was wondering how in the hell Rutgers has two players that are expected to be picked in the top 5 in the NBA draft, yet somehow they managed to have a 15-17 record this year in the Big Ten.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's not the only one asking that question.
It's a damn good question.
I am done with luncheon. Like, why do we call it a luncheon? Yeah, I don't. It's just lunch.
I mean, there has to be
Not
some
even
reason.
spelled right.
Yeah, there has to be some reason
Lunch
why
be lunch in, like dine in.
It's a French word or something. Is that what it is? That is one of the easiest ways to get a laugh in the history of the world.
Yeah.
Is doing a French accent. Oh, it's great. I don't mean it as a judgment. It's perfect. I've never not laughed when someone honed on the end of their phrase.
Well, I mean, Keenan Thompson literally made a career out of it, as Pierre Escargot.
We don't speak of that. We don't speak that name.
Sorry.
You're bringing up game 1 shit.
My bad.
We're on game 2.
We can't learn from it.
We didn't turn on Keenan because of yesterday.
No, I love Keenan. I'm just joking.
No, we never turned.
Keenan and Kel, such a good show.
I didn't even get into that. I was like letting him like push where he wanted to go.
Wow.
I wanted to list my favorite Keenan sketches. I wanted to do impersonations, but I didn't want to disrespect
Call him up. Get him back on. You think? Get him
He'd
back
be
on.
willing.
Do it.
Yeah, I think he seemed like he
No,
enjoyed
he's
it.
not coming on.
He's
that.
like that standard there.
After
still?
Mike disrespected
Gerd.
Gerd the
did
way that he did to end the interview.
In the interview, you said something negative
I
about
didn't say-
Gerd.
No, I was like, I wanted to say Gerd. It was funny, and I thought, let me try to make it lighter. I'm like, did you ever think you'd go from, being a teenager on all that to doing media hits about Gerd?
That also implies that you failed at life too.
I
he
won't
took it
stand
that
for
way.
it. I
No,
won't
I meant
stand-
it as wow, you've been in entertainment for so long. Like that'll tell you you're hitting
I will
40,
not-
right?
I will
Gerd.
not stand for the Mike disrespect because
It's not Mike disrespect.
I mean, not disrespect.
I
but
was
the
standing for the
Mike-
disrespect.
I will not sit for the Mike criticism because, as we established, I couldn't get the ball up the court, and Mike was not expecting to have to get the ball. He was trying, so that's on me. We've accepted accountability for that a number of times.
Yes.
But lasagna, deep dish pizza, accurate take, right? Like lasagna, deep dish pizza is delicious. But it's weird calling it pizza because it is much closer to lasagna than it is.
But it
to
has all
pizza.
the fixins.
Disagreed.
Yeah, still. I mean, that's like lots of different foods have the same components, but it doesn't. If you put them together differently, they become a
You're
different
talking
food.
about like a wrap and salad.
Yeah, like you don't call a salad wrap. You call it a wrap.
Salad sandwich.
They do call them Caesar wraps, though.
Yeah, Caesar.
Is a Caesar wrap a salad?
Caesar, no,
Makes
Caesar,
you think.
No, Caesar wrap's a Caesar wrap.
What
the
is
limited
Caesar's
fix-
connection to that salad? Has anybody figured that out?
I assume it's the dressing they probably invented or originated the dressing. Also, how did Caesar get the haircut? Get a fresh Caesar?
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's
things going on.
Those are the biggest influences in the history of the empire. Is dressing and
I feel like we had a
shape-ups.
nice lead in this third quarter. And
We're still up. No,
yeah,
this
we're
is
still
good.
up. But,
No,
they
we're
cut
just
it down to single digits.
We're moving
it's
the
the
ball
third- it's the
around. We're
third
killing
quarter.
clock.
We took a little
Last
reprieve.
shot.
Wait till y'all see this fourth quarter though.
The Caesar salad, a beloved dish, originated in Tijuana, Mexico at Caesar Cardini's restaurant in 1924.
Yep. So it has nothing to do
with Julius Caesar.
Nah.
Yes.